team. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Nintendo Prime Live. If you want me to turn the studio lights on, let me know. I had a tinge of a little headache a moment ago, and then when I turned off the lights, the headache seemed to go away. But I can turn them on. Like, I know it's really grainy as an example without the lights on, because obviously this camera is not made for low light situations. So if you would like me to turn the camera on or turn the lights on, and you know what? I think it's a little bit unprofessional, actually, seeing how grainy it is now that I'm actually live. So we'll turn one of them on at least, and see if the camera can correct itself. Looks like the camera corrected itself. There was just the one light on, so we'll try to go with just one light and go from there. I usually have, two lights firing at me. How you guys doing tonight? I hope you're having a lovely Friday. TGIF. Thank God it's freaking Friday, because obviously a lot of us are really looking forward to the end of the week. I actually am looking forward to the end of the week myself because, hey, I get to be kid-free tomorrow as of 9:30 in the morning. My parents are taking all three of my children to go visit my sister out in Minnesota and their new baby cousin. Their cousin, my niece. That is very exciting for them. They get to spend a weekend over there. They're spending the night, gonna have a good time. And me and Yulia, the mom and dad, get a nice break because we don't really get these breaks very often unless we hire very expensive babysitters. And even then, it doesn't feel like much of a break, because let's say we hire babysitters and we go to a movie, or we go out with some friends. We go for dinner. We have some drinks. When we wake up at 6 in the morning, because we have to, the kids are here. So it doesn't feel much of a break because we can't sleep in. We can't enjoy our night too late, or, I have to be up with the kids in the morning. So if I'm drinking, I can't actually get buzzed because I have to wake up. It's a whole mess. So it's nice that I don't have to worry about that tomorrow. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I have no idea what we're doing yet. I know Yulia mentioned wanting to go clubbing. I don't really know that we're going to necessarily do that. A lot of clubs aren't even open still, especially where she's thinking to go clubbing out in Minnesota. A lot of those clubs I actually looked up weren't open. So, there is still technically a pandemic going on. So it's not too surprising. That being said, that's not why you're here. You're here because we're going to be talking about some video game news. Some hot news. Fresh off the press. We have a lot to talk about today, and I want to make sure, before I even shout people out, that I get this link to you guys, because we have a special deal right now. It literally is only through a handful more hours tonight. You can get Skyward Sword HD for just $29.99 at Best Buy. Again, this is only available for, not a couple more hours. Not even, let me double check how many more hours are left on this. I know that it was a special 1 day only sale. So the deal ends in 3 hours and 45 minutes. So at midnight Central Time, the deal ends. So yeah, this is a really, really amazing deal. And if you haven't picked up Skyward Sword HD, this is obviously a really great price, in my opinion, to get in, and it's a temporary sale that's just going on to the end of tonight. Now, we did get a member chat in saying, just received that controller. You did? And the feeling, dude, I told you. I wasn't kidding. We take on sponsorships, and I'll always tell you, hey, we were sent this controller for free. We were paid to do an ad, but I'm telling you, I really love this controller. You don't have to believe me. You have the full context of the situation. I'm paid to be positive about that controller. They didn't have to pay me for my positive thoughts in terms of what I actually think. I love that controller. And he's talking about the Ghoulie Kit King Kong 2 Pro Switch controller. So, now let's shout out everyone who's here in the chat. You want to be shouted out? Just say something in the chat and I'll say hi to you. Welcome, Brian Eck. Welcome to a member. In fact, let's hit all our members up quick. All of the members of Nintendo Prime. Let's go. We got Don Lewis, Nintendo All Stars is here as well, and that's it actually right now. So pretty short list right now. We got Charles Trudell is here, Solo Nepion is here, William Burgos is here, Sweet Life of Dio Brando, Yvonne Francois, Aubrey Jackson, Jesus Calderon, K Dog, Israel is here, Jose Valaquez is here, and Young Tuna. I need you to take a shot. Well, we only do shots for super chats, so. I don't just randomly do shots because otherwise I would be drunker than a sailor going down with the ship, knowing it's his last hurrah, and gets into all the rum and decides to have some good fun before going down. That's how quickly I would get drunk, so that's why I don't just do shots whenever the hell I feel like it, because then I start losing count, and when I at least have the super chats, I can be like, okay, I did this, and I know by how much the chats were, what shots I did, and all of that. So, yeah, we do shots. We got UV Grape up in here. We got some Dr. Cherry. We got Rum Chata. We got Tequila. Jose Cuervo here only comes out for $100 chats because that stuff messes me up big time. Some daiquiri mixed with rum. I don't know. Anyways, how you guys doing? We got Robin Sid here. Javier Nunez. Nintendo Rocks Good 98. E Primify is here. And we'll see who else shows up. I don't really know how big the stream is going to be tonight because obviously we're using a thumbnail with IGN. So we get to talk about IGN. And this will be the first story we talk about today. Besides Skyward Sword HD being on sale right now, $29.99 at Best Buy. Get it now if you don't have it. Sale ends at midnight Central Time. So like limited time to get it. That's why I pinned it. But I really want to talk about this, and I gotta update the text. Let's make this work here. We gotta do that, and I gotta update the text here. I'm so prepared. We're gonna call this Freaky Friday, baby. I don't know. I'm feeling a little freaky tonight. Maybe it's because I know I'm about to be kid free for most of the weekend, but I am feeling a little freaky. And we can talk about IGN. It says IGN is looking. Okay, this is by Kat Bailey. Just to give some context on who Kat Bailey is. Okay, she is the current IGN senior editor, Axe of the Blood God creator, Nintendo Voice Chat co-host. So you might see her on Nintendo Voice Chat, the podcast. She/her. That's what she goes by for her pronouns. Past U.S. Gamer editor in chief. So really highly experienced. Have news tips DMs are open, and you can DM her with news tips. She put out here this hiring post. And this hiring post has gotten quite a bit of controversy. And I find some of this controversy fascinating because my take on this is probably not the take you're expecting. So she said, IGN is looking for new freelancers. Okay. Freelancers are you, me, your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters, your friends just chilling at home. Okay? It's not people that work full-time at IGN. They're not looking for full-time people. They're not technically even looking for part-time. They're looking for just people who would like a little extra cash on the side, right? Hey, you need a little money on the side. You need a little side job. Like how you go work at DoorDash or stuff like that. You're not doing DoorDash for a living. You're not doing X, Y, and Z for a living, right? You're not being an Uber driver for a living. You're doing it as a freelancer on your schedule, on your time, when you have time to do it, right? It has nothing to do with supporting your family other than it's just an extra source of revenue. That's basically what freelancing means. You can get full-time freelancing gigs at times, but that's not what they're looking for here. So that's the clarification on what they're trying to hire are people that just are looking for a little bit of extra dough on the side and have a little bit of spare time. Okay. So it says they're looking for new freelancers because they absolutely, by the way, do have full-time news editors. Like they have full-time news editors. That's the thing. Okay. They have people who are on staff, full-time, salaried, benefits, all of that. That's not what this position is. So you need to clarify that because some people think that that's what this is and that this is what they pay their employees. You're not technically an employee. You're a freelance contractor. Right? There's a difference. Anyways. So IGN is looking for new freelancers to assist with the daily flow of stories in games, entertainment, tech, and science. In particular, they're looking more so for the entertainment, tech, and science. Games are sort of they think they have it covered, but they want some help, especially in these fields. $20 base rate per story, so you get $20. Um, which is cool. Sliding scale for heavier reporting. DM with an introduction portfolio for details. Okay, so that's fine. And I actually DM'd her and applied. I didn't give her a full portfolio though, so I this is twice now that I've applied for basically the same gig, and I get ignored because I'm not really being that serious about getting hired. It'd be cool to make a little bit of extra dough on the side, but I'm not really looking into being that now. Now, when we're looking at this, right? When we're looking at this, okay, this seems bad. Here's what she said. We're especially looking for folks interested. But then you see all these reactions, and these are just reactions here. We've seen content creators and other people react to this as well. I enjoy writing and thought about going that route. I know this is a very entry-level sub of $20 from the biggest gaming site out there. Glad I didn't pick this profession. It sure is the last time they put any kind of wage in the Twitter sphere. Does it start at $20 for news stories and more for others? The tweet is unclear. So then she clarifies, $20 for basic news aggregation, $50 for slightly more involved stories, as in having to have a fun community angle on it, like diving deep into, say, the Smash community to do an article that isn't sourced from another outlet. So this would be original content, right? So you get $50 for basically an original article, $20 for news regurgitation. That's what it is. Or $300 for an in-depth multi-source reporting. So if you're doing sort of an investigative report, and I could see the $300 for the investigative reporting is a little bit low, but it says $300 and up. So I think it's really going to depend on the story. It's going to depend on how long it takes you. Like if it only takes you a day to do all your investigations and another day to write, I think $300 is probably a fair amount. But if it's taking you 3-4 days, a week to do all your investigation, get the report together, you could provide obviously all clocking in and showing them all the things you've been doing to prove how much work you put into it. And obviously they'll read it and check it out, and they might value it higher than $300. You don't know. Okay. So I'm not really interested in this angle here, the paying the $300 for in-depth multi-source reporting, because that is a lot of work, right? That is significant work that could take many, many days to put together, because you're investigating something. You're doing investigative reporting. Like let's say you want to talk about that speed guy today, right? But you don't want to just instant react. You want to go into a whole bunch of research into it, watching a bunch of streams of his over the years and all this stuff to formulate all your thoughts and your opinions and all your evidence together. Well, that's going to take you a while to do. You're not just going to be able to pull that off with a simple news regurgitation. So I'm not going to talk specifically about this $300 and up for in-depth multi-source reporting, because that is going to vary, and without having the full context of what is $300, like $300 is the baseline for this, but like how much is the upper echelon on this, and what are the exact parameters that determine if it's $300, $500, $1,000? What are the parameters that determine that? We don't know. Okay, so it's very hard to talk about this honestly, and I've seen Rich from Review Tech USA and a bunch of other content creators talk about this, and this one in particular, and all I can say is none of us have enough information to really pass judgment on this part, because this is very vague, extremely vague. We have no idea what the pay scale and how it scales. All right, the $50 is one that I find interesting, because this is basically finding a fun community angle that's not sourced from another outlet, social media, reacts, etc. So like this is basically original editorial work. Now, I can tell you right now, I feel like I'm in a unique position to talk about this. I am the former editor-in-chief of ZeldaInformer.com. I have also written news articles for Nintendo Everything. I have written articles for ZeldaUniverse.net, ZeldaDungeon.net as well. I am well versed in the editorial space when it comes to covering news and also writing independent original articles. Some independent original articles take a lot of time and a lot of research, right? And that would probably fall into this multi-source reporting. Whereas $50 for slightly more involved stories, finding a fun community angle, these are more opinion-based writing, and I could usually bang out 1 or 2 of those kind of articles per day, and they would probably take me 2.5-ish hours to idealize it, do some little light research on it, and then put it all together. Now, this also comes because I have a lot of experience writing. I, believe it or not, as good as you guys think I am at this YouTube thing, which I don't actually think I'm that good at it, I'm actually significantly better at writing. I've always had a knack for writing, a skill for writing, not a skill in the sense that I'm a great technical writer, not a skill in the sense that I use the most wide swath of vocabulary imaginable, but I'm very good at taking an idea from my head and formulating a nice article or editorial around that idea better than I am making videos. And I'm really good at doing that. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I just did it for years. So I wasn't good at it, but then I did it for almost 20 years. I wrote guides as well. So I have a lot of experience writing. So $50 to me isn't as good of a deal as the 20, but it's more than I ever got paid. To put this in perspective, I get a base salary of $1,500 when I was editor-in-chief per month. But then I also had some commissions off of social media that, was significantly more than 1,500, because obviously 1,500 is not much, but 1,500 kept me writing news. Now, I want to talk about this part here, because this $20 for basic news aggregation is what's getting controversy. And before we go further, I have to shout out G.I. Rocky. Thank you, G.I. Rocky, for the $9.99. What's up, buddy? Let me get a shot in for you here. That's going to be, I think that's going to be this. Dr. Cherry. Yep. All right. You're very entertaining to watch, Nate, and I love your content. Well, thanks, Jesus. All right. So there's that. There's that side of things. But I'm going to show you another take as well. Another take from somebody who, because a lot of these takes in here are going to be from people that don't have any experience or any real, like $20 per story. Is that 20 words? Unbelievable inflation, except for pay. You work for unethical people, blah, 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 blah. Lots of negative reaction. And then you get to this person who, tried to make a point as someone who does have experience as well, writing. And it says, small independent mag paid me more than that. Now, I want to clarify, a magazine is not the same as an online website. I'll explain this in a moment. This is still trash for newbies or for those with experience. This is why journalism went downhill. Hiring people who will take broke paychecks and they write like trash too. Those are the standards. So, a magazine has a very different target audience than a website. And that is because people don't go to magazines to get their news. They go there for well-researched, hot opinions and, really in-depth looks. If there is going to be news, like let's say the news is for Entertainment Tonight magazine, and they're talking about the Will Smith slap at the Oscars, right? And they're going to talk about how, oh no, he's banned from the Oscar for 10 years. Okay, there's going to be a lot of research and interviews and deep diving into that story to create a really in-depth article within that magazine. That is going to take a lot of time. And thinking of $20 to do that would be pretty ridiculous. But that's what a magazine is. And that's why magazines are still popular in some sense. So saying that a small independent magazine paid you more than that, well, of course they did, because you're putting in a lot more work. Let's go to IGN.com and let's look at an actual news story on IGN.com. A real news story. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay. So here's like one on Destiny 2. Okay. I mean, they're just listing basically a bunch of stuff from the game. What's the source on this? They're listing a bunch of stuff from the game, and it is sourced from themselves, I think. Is this original work? This is an original work. Plus, you do get to link your socials as well, which is always cool. But all right. So that's kind of a more out there example. It's more of an original one. Let's go with like the latest news. Here we go. Because this is the kind of stuff that you'll be doing for $20. Okay. Thor Love and Thunder breaks a record you won't like.
Yo, what is up, everybody? I'm Akeem.
Oh, wait, no, this is their video content. Sorry, that's right. I should have read that was the fix. Let's go away from the fix. Eidos Montreal has no regrets about Guardian of the Galaxy sales. So here's more of like the PC would do. So this is just an ad that's auto inserted, and so you write a couple paragraphs. You come down here, and then you quote whatever the news is. Right. This comes from Guardians of the Galaxy senior director Jean-Francois Dugas told Eurogamer. So it comes from Eurogamer. So you got all this, you write a bit more, and that's the end of the article. This is what you get paid $20 for. Look at this. You see this? You see this? This is what you're paid $20 for. So let me ask you, how long do you think it took them to write this? If you had to guess, it's, let's just call this a paragraph and a half, 2 paragraphs and this is just a quote, so it's copy pasted. 3, maybe 4 paragraphs if you're lucky. How long do you think it took them to write this? Any guesses? Because this is a $20 news piece. This is what they're hiring for. $15, 20 minutes, about an hour. Because that's what this is. To be clear, to assist with the daily flow of stories, okay? You are regurgitating news. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours. See, all over the place. All over the place. I can tell you right now, I would have this story done in under 10 minutes. It's not that hard. Here's what you do. You log in for the day. Okay, hey, I'm gonna write a news article. So you open up IGN and you go to, let's say, let's say in this case we're doing entertainment, right? So the first thing you'll do is you'll load up IGN, and they have a back end system, by the way, so it'll be different because you'll be able to look at the back end and see what stories people are working on, so you don't end up covering the same story, of course. So it's going to be a little different, but we're just going to do this from the outside looking in. Okay, we're going to do this from the outside looking in. And let's go to, say, their entertainment section because they specifically want to, let's say tech. Let's say we're going to go to tech, right? And so this is obviously an accessory thing. See, I can see why they want more in tech because look at this. Look at this. You see how there's like barely any stories, and this is why they want people for tech, because they had a story today and then one yesterday, one the day before, so on and so forth. So they need more writers for this space. They do not have enough people covering tech news. Okay, so where can you get tech news from, right? Now, you can follow a bunch of tech YouTubers. You can obviously follow a bunch of places on stuff. You can go to PC Gamer. PC Gamer is a great place for this. You can also type in, like, I don't have a tech news site, so we can go with tech news. And let's say, The Verge? Sure, The Verge has tech stories. So let's see what they're talking about. See, they have all these stories today. Amazon says, let me see, they might not count that as tech. Samsung, okay, that's an opinion piece. Just kind of scrolling quick. Warner Media and Discover. Here we go. YouTube is testing a stricter. This would be tech related. YouTube is testing a stricter moderation system. All right, let me see. I'm reading this. All these people getting mad at it. YouTube has a big problem. YouTube comments, okay, these are just content creators talking. Where is the actual test? Okay, and this monitor really sucks. For this text looks like crap on this monitor. All right, okay, and YouTube seems to know it. Brownlee posted Friday a new experimental moderation feature. Okay, so it came from Marquez Brownlee, and it says this increased strictness content moderation tool is a new experiment from YouTube that's been in the works for a bit. Okay, so I would grab this, I would quote it, I would take this image, I would go to IGN, I would create a new article because, again, they don't have this story here. Okay, I go into their backend. I would hit new article. I would type out my title, and I would say, let me see here. YouTubers comments fan. So YouTube. Okay, YouTube is testing a new moderation system for comments. Okay, let's just say that's my title. Type that out quick. I would, let's just type up this article. Let's just type this up as a news article. Okay. Remember, this is taking me longer because I'm explaining to you guys, rather than just going through the process of doing it. But let's type up a news article, right? Let's do it here. Okay, we know it's from Marquez Brownlee, and we know a general gist of what it is. This is the news. All this other stuff in here is not the news. This is the news. That's all the news is. All the rest of this stuff is fluff. This is the news, okay? All right. So let's open up our notepad. And let's go like this. Title. YouTube is testing a stricter comment moderation tool. All right. Has had an issue with spam for a decade now, only seemingly, increasing over time. Many YouTubers have spoken about this at length, and this again would not be what I would use. I'd use Word or whatever their backend system is. Let's go word wrap. All right, let's get this in focus here. And let's make this more the size of an IGN article, which is about that much space. And you're just going to see, because, got to look good. All right, there it is. YouTube article over time. Many YouTubers have spoken about this at length, and now YouTube is implementing an experimental system to help curb this problem. Here is what I always forget how to spell his name. Marquez Brownlee has to say. Is what Marquez Brownlee, a popular YouTuber. Again, this is fluff. All right, and then I would either insert tweet if I'm allowed to insert the tweet directly. Sometimes you're not allowed to. So if IGN doesn't let you do it, I would just open the tweet up. I go like this. I would go in here. Since let's just assume they don't. All right, we got our quotes around it. And then I would insert the image. It is nice. Issue and taking it seriously. What do you think YouTube could do to better optimize the elimination of spam in the YouTube comment section? Now remember, this would be linked. So on IGN, this would be hyperlinked to his tweet. And that's it. That's the story. I'm done. That's it. Did someone time me? How long did that take? That's $20. How long did that take? Okay. And again, this is with me explaining, talking out loud. This isn't me just in the back end. That's how long it took me to put this together. For $20. Now, it needs to be run through a spell checker. It's got to get approved by their staff to go live. But that's not me. I don't have to worry about that. I submit it. I did 3 minutes of work. That is what people are bitching about. Now, I am highly experienced at it. You saw how easily I put that together. You saw how I was able to add a little fluff. Here's what Marquez Brownlee, a popular YouTuber, said about it. Look at this. There's a couple paragraphs, quote, image. It's basically as long, not a review. It's basically as long as Okay, and look, you can even insert the tweet. Like this type of reporting takes no time. Okay? Now, that person with the magazine said, this is why, what does it say? Broke paychecks and they write like trash. The point of the article isn't what you as a writer personally have to say about it. The point of a news article is to deliver the news. Now, notice how in this writing I did, there's no personal opinion. I didn't say, is this good? I didn't say, man, here's all the issues I think YouTube has as a YouTuber, which, again, in a video, like if I was covering the story as a video, I would be going more in depth, right? I would be talking about my experience with YouTube, show you examples from my YouTube channel on comment spam, and then talk about what I think might work. And then I would go into what YouTube is attempting to do and whether or not I have access to this tool yet, because they're rolling it out slowly to a limited amount of YouTubers. So I would go more in depth about it because of personal experience and because I like to create discussions around it. But when you're just reporting news, when your sole goal, when all you're doing is regurgitating news, that's all it is. That's it. That's why none of these IGN news articles are long. You're regurgitating news. They are paying you to get the news on their website so people can be informed. It's not an in-depth look at things. It's not going into personal opinions and biases. It's just taking the story and producing it. Okay? So when you're doing that, $20 for that news piece, holy shit. And hey, IGN, if you're watching right now, that's how quick I can get news out. I'm available for hire. I'll gladly do this. Now, I would estimate throwing a few more minutes on, right? Let's say it's 10, 15, even 20 minutes, because you got to research, right? So first thing you got to do is find the news to post. Okay. Now I found the news in a quick Google searches. That's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you got to dig deeper for news. Okay. Tech news, they clearly are not covering much tech news. So me personally, if they hired me, I'd be focusing on tech news like a whore because they're barely covering tech. And because of that, there are a billion story opportunities for me to write every day because they're not covering it. They're not covering the latest gadgets popping up on Kickstarter. They're not covering the latest developments with AMD and Intel and NVIDIA. They're not covering tech properly, okay? So that's where I would probably end up focusing because they have less people focusing on that area. Tons of people focusing on gaming. Tons of people focusing on entertainment. Not a lot of people focusing on that. Heck, not a lot of people focusing on science either, okay? So the thing is, I would choose that because there'd be more stories available to write. And it'd be easier to find the news because there's hardly anyone writing stories for it. For $20 per piece. Now, let's just say on average it takes 20 minutes from looking up the news to writing about it and then submitting it to IGN. And they'll decide when it gets published because I doubt I can directly publish. They probably have to approve of it. Okay? And let's say they come back to me in one revision. Let's say they come back to me and say I got to make like one change or one error correct, right? Okay, fine. Let's just assume it took me 20 minutes. It didn't. I wrote that article in less than 5. But let's say it took me 20 minutes. And I do 3 of these in an hour. I just made $60 an hour. I've never made $60 an hour in my life. If I just did that for 3.5 hours a day, not even 3.2 hours a day for 5 days a week, I would make $4,000 a month, only working 17.5 hours a week. And I'm supposed to believe this $20 is bad for news regurgitation? I used to do this for a living. That is an insane amount of money. Now, I'm good at this. I'm experienced at this. I've done this a lot. Exactly what they're looking for, I've done it a lot. I'm going to be a lot quicker than a lot of other people. I'm going to be a lot quicker than, say, even people that worked at other outlets that do freelance work and want to come here. Why? Because their focus is going to be on, let me fluff up this piece as much as I can. Let me think about what things could I inject into it. When all IGN wants is the news presented to their fans. That's it. They want the news presented to their fans. They're not looking for fluff. They do have the ability to do that. And by the way, if they wanted me to add, like if they came back and said, hey, your article's a little short, can you add a paragraph? Oh, I can BS a paragraph. No problem. No problem. I could BS another paragraph. I could easily fluff up any of this. Why? I'm really fucking good at it. You want to know how? All my college papers that I have written in the last year, I've had to write 5 big, like 10-page papers. Everything I had to say could have been said in a page. But instead, I took multiple points. Basically, I wrote my entire thing. It was a page, but I had to make it 10 pages. Okay. So I broke my paragraphs in half, and then I took each section and moved it onto a different page. Okay, so I took like a couple sentences, put it at the top of page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, and page 10, right? Those were going to be my topic sentences for the page. The rest of that page, total BS. I would literally just, right off the top of my head, just pull out random scenarios that I could think of in my head that apply to whatever that topic that I put in that thing was. None of this stuff is needed to actually understand anything, but it's there. I put it in there because I need 10 pages. I call it, I'm BSing 9 pages of my work. And every single one of them got A's. 4 of them I got 100% on. 1 I got like a 95. So I'm really good at just throwing a bunch of fluff in that you don't really need, that doesn't actually add to the work. It doesn't add to the work. But it looks nice. It sounds right. It looks like it belongs. But it doesn't. So to me, when I see that IGN's offering $20 to do this, my Lord, hire me. I'll do it full time. Don't give me benefits. I'm going to make $8,000 plus a year, or $8,000 plus a month. Sorry, my bad. You have hardly anyone doing tech stories. I could bang out 10 tech stories a day easy, and that's just in tech. That's assuming I don't write a story in entertainment. It's assuming I don't write a story in the gaming section, which I'm obviously always up to date on the gaming. So if they're missing a story, or I can find stories IGN doesn't cover to cover easily, because IGN doesn't cover everything. I, on my own, could find 10 to 20 stories per day to write. But let's do some math on this. Because just throwing out those numbers, I showed you in real time how quickly I could throw together one of these. Showed you in real time. So in real time, I did it in 3 minutes. Let's just exasperate a little bit and say it takes me a bit longer to find a story, because it can. All right, so let's say it's 20 minutes. And I got, so let's say an hour, I do 3 stories. So we have 3 times 20. So we make $60 an hour. Okay, let's say I do 10 stories per day. Let's just go 10. 10 stories per day. All right, times that by 20. All right, so we got $200 a day. Okay. And let's say we do that for, 20 days, Monday through Friday, right? That's $4,000. When I was at Zelda Informer, just covering Zelda, there was a day I banged out 34 news stories about Zelda. I could have made $680 if I did that at IGN. And then let's just say I could somehow, let's say scrap that. Let's go with a 20 story per day pace, which will take me probably about 6 hours. All right, times that by 20, 400, times by 20. Oh, and let's say, you know what? I want to put in halftime on weekends too. So I want to throw in an additional 2 for 8 days. I want to throw in like an additional 8 days on average at that 200. So 8 times 200 equals that plus the 8,000. I could realistically be pulling $10,000 per month. And I'm to believe that IGN is not offering fair pay. Look, they're not hiring me to come to their studio, come to their office and work there full time. They're hiring me to work whenever the fuck I feel like it. They're hiring me to decide my own hours and decide when I want to write stories. I'm a freelancer. I get to come up with news whenever the fuck I feel like it. They have to approve of it being published. But for every approved published news piece, I get $20. I just showed you live in real time without doing any prior research how quickly and easily I could write up a story. You want to pay me $20 to do that per story? Fuck yeah, sign me up. So a lot of places like Rich from Review Tech USA, and this is no shade on Rich. I don't know that he's ever been a journalist in his life. He put out there, dude, it could take, 5 hours to do a news story. At $20, what a ripoff. Even if it takes you 2 hours, what a ripoff. Only $10 an hour. Who the fuck is taking 2 hours to do what I just did? If it's taking you 2 hours to do it, you shouldn't be in this industry. You're not good enough at it. You're just not. It's a waste of your time. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a waste of your time and you should go do something else. Go work at your local gas station and make more per hour. I'm not kidding. It's a waste of your time. If it takes you 2 hours to do what I just did, it's a waste of your time. So again, I don't really see the issue with what IGN's doing. Everyone, and a lot of the negative reactions are coming from people who don't do this and don't have the experience, or they think this is more than it really is. They are looking for news regurgitation. It's not a difficult thing to do. And I'm highly skilled at it. Yeah. Is everyone going to have the experience and the skill I do? No. But $20 to do something that takes 20 minutes max? Seems like a hell of a good deal. How many of you guys, if someone told you, hey, if you do this one simple thing, you don't even have to get out of your chair, and I'll give you $20, $1 per minute, would you do it? Would you do it? If you could get paid $1 per minute, would you do it? I would. That's why I've applied. Haphazardly applied. I didn't give her a portfolio, which is why I've never actually been taken serious in my applications, because I didn't provide an actual portfolio. Which my portfolio, by the way, for writing it's decades long. I did it for 20 years. It's so much experience, so many examples. It's insane. So my portfolio would be massive. And that's one reason why I just don't want to take the time to put my portfolio together. Even though I could make a shitload of money. And typing for $20, $20 per story, and it gets published. The trick's not getting published. Because here's what you do. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. You find this story. You grab it. You link it to whoever the editor is, right? I don't know who the editor is, who approves of the stories. I go, hey, I want to cover this story about this thing, and here's my source on it. They'll either approve it or they don't. I don't begin writing until they say yes. If they say yes, I know it's going to get published. So I'd wake up every morning. I'd spend about an hour. I'd gather 40 stories, send it off to them, and be like, hey, which one of these could I publish? And I wouldn't be shocked if they come back and say all of them, but you're never going to get this done today. Watch me. Have the shit done before your lunch break's over. Thanks for the free money. I'm not kidding this is going to sound crazy. Just the news stories, not the original articles, not the guides, but just news regurgitation. I could write every story on IGN per day on my own. All of them. IGN averages publishing right around 48 to 50-ish news, not editorials, news regurgitation pieces per day. I actually counted it up earlier today. It's right around 50, 48 to 50 news per day. I went back about a week. I can bang that all up myself. I don't need any help. I just need, if they want editors to look it over, that's fine. I can bang them all out on my own. Every single one of them. Not a problem. Go ahead and pay me $20 for each one. I mean, hell, what is that? Let's go with the old calculator. If I just did that for a day, fuck, I'll take $1,000. Like, now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying that I would want to do that. It wouldn't be enjoyable. I would be slaving away. I would probably get some hand cramps from all that typing. But it's one of those things where I know that I could do it because that's how easy it is to do. That's how easy it is. And people out here bitching about $20 an hour, or not even an hour, $20 per story. It's good pay. It's good pay. I'm just going to flat out say it. It's good pay. You're regurgitating news. It's good pay. My average YouTube video that takes me anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to put together, and that sounds insane, but I'm going to tell you right now, a majority of that time is research. And you might go, Nate, why does it take so long to research? Well, a lot of it's just trying to find stories. Trying to cover Nintendo news every day and have enough interesting stories to make a video about, or one big story that's worth making a solo video about, doesn't exist every day. There's not always a big enough story to make one video on, so you want a bunch of stories, but you want interesting stories. So you'll spend time on Twitter, you'll spend time on Reddit, you'll spend time on all these different news websites. You'll spend time, everywhere trying to just dig up any minute story that's worth talking about in your estimation. And it takes me a long time to do that because I'm so focused on singular topics that interest me. When it comes to writing at IGN, it ain't about what interests me. That ain't got nothing to do with it. It's about what I can get approved by their staff to write news stories on for their website. It's a job. It ain't like YouTube is about what I want to do. So that's why it takes me so long. I spend a majority of that time researching. I'm trying to find crap I want to talk about. That's not the same at IGN. I ain't worried about what I want to talk about. I'm worried about what they will let me write about. How many writers do they actually have published? Let's see if did they have a list of staff? I don't even know if you. Oh, and by the way, another reason I'd like to work for them. I briefly mentioned this, but I'll show it here. Another reason I'd like to work for them is because it's so this is a freelance writer. So this guy right here got paid $20 for this article. Okay. Ryan Dinsdale is an IGN freelancer who occasionally remembers to tweet at the last Dinsdale. And he happened to not link his Twitter account like we saw someone else do. But and he does news, he does tech. I mean, how many times does this guy write per day? Let's take a look at his list here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, no, this is someone who actually does this, by the way. So let's just go from this story to 24 hours prior, right? Because that's when he was working. So we want to go up to 34 hours ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he did about 5, maybe 6 stories. So he decided to write 6 stories yesterday, basically. 6 stories yesterday from this one free. This is someone who's actually doing this right now. He made $120. Are any of these stories super complicated? No. Again, quoting a tweet from Call of Duty, writing a few things, automatically inserting. This is an automatic insert from IGN. Their system will insert related content. Nice and simple. Not a big deal. Oh, look, player discovers how to make Elden Ring one of the toughest boss fights himself.
One of the toughest bosses.
Okay. This is just reposting the daily fix. Super easy to do. Put the daily fix at the top. Put it in text form. He put the daily fix in text form. Super easy to do. He didn't even do any of the research on it. See if he's getting a new randomized Pirate Lord adventure. Okay, look at this. Look at this. He probably spent an hour and a half at most putting out 6 stories, and he made $120. I'm sorry. I don't know what the issue is. I just don't know what the problem is being a freelancer and making $20 per story. This is easy. This is one of the easiest jobs in the world. Don't listen to people when they tell you being a game journalist is hard. No, investigative journalism is hard. That's not what this is. This is news regurgitation journalism. It's super easy to do because IGN doesn't do it like the CNNs of the world. CNN will go grab a news story and then heavily inject a massive opinionated article around it, trying to sway people to the way that author thinks about that story. And that's not what IGN does. To IGN's credit, they just give you the news. Here's the damn news. Here's a little fluff about related content we have to this news. That's it. It's simple. It's basic. It's easy. I actually prefer it this way. Now, it's not as easy as, say, GoNintendo.com. GoNintendo.com gets even lazier with it. If he wants to hire me and pay me $20 a story, cool. So, his ones are super easy. Look, check out over an hour's worth of interviews. Oh, linking IGN's video, couple paragraphs done. Done. And this is Go Nintendo. So like they make their stuff even easier to do. But Raw Meat Cowboy does most of his own posting for that. So and he puts out 40, 50 of those things a day easily. I spilled my shot that I didn't do yet, so I'm trying to clean up over here before it gets too sticky. Ugh. Because of course I spilled the really sugary shot. Don't worry, so I'm gonna get that shot in. Plus, we had another super chat in from Young Tuna. I saw that, buddy. I got you. Just give me a second here while I clean this up. I'm gonna have to go at it with some some cleaner? No, some soap and water later because it's gonna be sticky. Hey, nobody asked you. Why did you turn us? Nobody talked to you. TV. Nobody asked you to turn on replays of the Masters. My God. Anyways, I just find this whole story to be ridiculous. I find the outrage at it ridiculous. I feel really bad for Kit Bailey, who's sitting there, trying to defend herself, and trying to defend what they're doing. I think people grossly misunderstand what the job is, and or they lack the experience, or not everyone has the skill set that I do. Forget how fast I can do it. Not everybody has the ability to quickly add a couple paragraphs of fluff into a news story. It is a skill. It's a legitimate skill that everyone has. Yulia, give you a prime example. I love my fiance. She can't fluff worth a damn. She can't BS anything worth a damn. So, she would suck at this job. She would basically write the title, do the quote, and not know what else to say. And some people are that way. And for them, this would take them a while. This might take them 2 hours to come up with enough text to actually get published. And to that, I say it's not the job for you. Cheers. Oh! And then we had Young Tuna. Thank you, Young Tuna, for the $2. He said, double shot, please. No, I don't do double shots for $2. Sorry, bub. But you do get a shot of this daiquiri stuff for that. So there's that. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? Like, maybe I'm crazy. I just showed you live how long it takes to make one of these articles, one of these news pieces. Just showed you. Now, again, how long it takes me, other people with less experience or no experience are going to take a lot longer. Yeah, news regurgitation is easy. News regurgitation is easy as shit. Now, they will never officially call it news regurgitation. That's what it is. They're sourcing other outlets and other places for their news, just like us YouTubers do. It's regurgitation. Regurgitation. It's super simple. I don't get the outrage. It comes from people who either have never done it or people who completely misunderstand what the job is. It's simple as shit. I'm not going to say anyone can do it, but a lot of people could do it. Maybe not as fast as me. Maybe they couldn't bust out 50, 60 stories a day like I could. But, what's a daiquiri? So it's like strawberry and orange, mixed with rum. Sometimes vodka. Depends on, like, if you get it at a bar, sometimes they do vodka instead of rum. Let's see here. I overdid it this week. I bought 8 games. Jesus. Trying to get all the exclusive physical games. My hot damn, dude. Yeah. This is actually the real daiquiri mix. It already has the booze in it, and then you're supposed to put it with ice and blend it, but you can do it on the rocks, I guess. It is alcohol, yes. Yes. Rick Rubicam! Come on. Thank you for the $2, Rick Rubicam. I overdid it. You bought 8 games. Yeah, I saw that, man. That's an insane amount of games. Sounds like you should apply. I have applied. Again, though, they will not hire me until I put together a portfolio. And again, putting together the portfolio itself will be more work than I would do for them in a month. And I don't make any money for the portfolio, and there's no guarantee I get hired. Like, if I knew if I actually put together a portfolio that they would hire me, I'd do it. It's well worth it. Oh, honey, we need what? Wait, we need $4,000 extra for the cruise? Psh, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll just go right for IGN for a few weeks. Like, it's a stupidly simple job. And, like, I just showed, like, their tech section desperately needs writers. Like, nobody's writing for tech. They need so many new writers for tech. It's insane. Like, let me look at the other. So they wanted writers for tech. They wanted writers for entertainment. So let's see here. They wanted for movies and television. Yeah, movies. They got quite a number of. They got quite a lot of people writing for it too. Akeem Lowenson, Zoki Hansen, Jesse Sheeden, Amelia Zollner, Adele Ankers, Matt Fowler. These are all people that publish stuff today. So movies are getting quite a bit. I probably wouldn't focus too much on, even then though, they didn't cover that much. They didn't really cover that much movie news. I know about some movie stories they didn't even put up today. Anyways, so again, I would have stuff already to add to that. Television, God, there's infinite television. Infinite television. There's no way in hell they have enough writers for television. What's their science? Yeah, they're missing stories today in television. And then let me look at, they said something about science. I don't see a science section. Maybe it's a section they're hoping to add. I don't see a science area right now. So they probably are just trying to hire for it, but they haven't opened it yet officially. So they're trying to look for a science. But yeah, the tech section needs articles like crazy. Like, did they even get the big story for Nintendo up today? To me, there was 2 stories worth talking about today for Nintendo. Did they get them up? Let's see. Okay, they got up the big one from Nintendo, Metroid Dread Boss Rush mode. They got that one up. That's it. So as an example, so there's a free update for Metroid Dread today that gives you a boss rush mode. Okay, that's a big story. They did get it up. They got it up 5 hours after the story went up, but hey, it's okay. I would have got it up sooner, but that's neither here nor there. However, they do not have the story about Skyward Sword being on sale right now. Today only, 50% off at Best Buy. And they do sales news videos. Not a single. Like they have one here. Nintendo Switch games, buy 2, get 1 free. That's Amazon. They do not have the Skyward Sword 50% off today only at Best Buy. That's a story that I could cover in gaming right now. They don't have it up at all. Nothing. I would have covered it for them earlier today. Like, this is stupidly easy. Oh, man. And I'm good at this. I'm good at looking up shit. I'm good at finding news. So, like, IGN, if you ever watch this video, just know I'm really fucking good at this, and you should probably hire me. I would be a gold mine for you. You would get so many views off the shit I write because you'd be so up to date on things. It'd be insane. Plus, I'm a YouTuber. So I already am going to talk about some of the stuff I'm going to write about anyways on my channel. So there could be some cross promotion there. Plus, it's really good for me because I get to link my Twitter account. Heck, maybe if I could sweet talk you, you'll even let me in my little profile mention that I do a YouTube channel and link my YouTube channel on every article I post on IGN. And when I'm busting out 15, 20 articles a day on IGN, that's a lot of backlinks to my channel from IGN, driving a lot of traffic and a lot of new viewers to my channel. Fuck, what am I doing? IGN, hire me. This is a mutually beneficial arrangement. I'll give you a bunch of news, you give me a bunch of money, and boost my YouTube channel. Sounds good. Is that link not working? Hold on. That link should be working. Hold on. Why is that? Every time. Narrative. What are you doing? Let me unlink that. Hold on. There, try that link instead. Try that link instead. That link should work. I just reposted. That link should. Why is that going to Lego Star Wars? Hold on. What is going on? Wait. What is happening right now? Why is this not working? Copied. Why did that go to Lego Star Wars? God damn it. What is this thing doing right now? Are you trying to fuck me? Are you trying to fuck me? Okay. How about this link? You trying to fuck me? Okay, got it. Finally got the real link. Hold on. Let's remove that. Got it. This link works. Third time's the charm, they say, right? Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. We got it. We got the right link up. Anyways, this was for Rick. Thank you so much, buddy. Whoa! Yeah, sorry, I got confused. It was actually my fault. But there you go. That link works. I confirmed it works. William Burgos, it should work now. It should work now. The link I put in there is that link works every time. All right. Say hello to my little friend. The other news today, as I said, there's a free update for Metroid Dread. Gives you a boss rush mode. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, you guys got any questions? Q&A time. Ask away any questions you got. It could be about IGN. It could be about writing. Why is IGN hiring news? They're hiring freelancers because, to be frank, what they want you to do is super fucking easy and not worth paying a full-time staffer to do. Penguins Charlie. Who the fuck is Penguins Charlie? I'm gonna Google this guy right now. Here, you guys can watch me. Who the fuck is Penguins Charlie? Am I gonna regret Googling this live? Oh, it's that guy. What's his experience? See if he has any experience in the field. Video game commentary. Let's watch his video. Let's go ahead and watch his video on this. Or does he not have a video on it? Is it I tried? IGN drama. Here. Let's watch his video together. And let's just see. Let's just see what he has to say about this.
To say that gaming journalism isn't the most prestigious or well-respected career in the world right now, especially over the last few years. But that doesn't mean that I think all game journalists are bad people or evil, gamer-hating tyrants that want to throw every gamer in the gulag and burn the industry.
To answer your question, Rick, we haven't had a single new donation since the first night.
Down, but I do agree that a lot of times gaming journalism feels like a bit of a joke. Some of the articles are some of the stinkiest, most nonsensical pieces I've read. And today I read a tweet from IGN that really put it in perspective on how we got to this point. It really explained a lot about modern game journalism. It was this silly little tweet here that I had to do a double take on because I thought it might have been an April Fool's joke or someone impersonating IGN, but this is legitimate. This is a blast to put out there, hoping to find freelancers that'll work for IGN, and they're saying that the base rate per story is $20. Now, I'm going to blank out the person's name that posted this because I don't want anyone to harass them, and I don't think it's their fault. It's not like they chose the $20 base rate number. But I bet right now you're getting that little tingling in your nutsack saying, that doesn't seem right. That's a little weird. $20 for freelance journalism seems a bit low. Fucking middle school student council newspaper pays their kids more for articles in their paper than IGN's paying freelancers here.
So to make a point here, you're regurgitating news for $20. You're not writing full-on editorials. Again, misconception of what they're hiring and what the job is. So I can already tell how the rest of this video is going to go. He doesn't understand what they're hiring for. He doesn't understand why they are hiring for this. And he thinks that they're massively underpaid because they're comparing it to kids writing full-on multi-week editorials for a school newspaper. This is wrong. He's wrong. Flat out, Penguin Zero. This entire video is misinformation. This is how misinformation spreads. I'm going to call it out when I see it. This is how misinformation spreads. Misconception over what the $20 an hour per person is, or $20 per news piece person is doing. Misconception over how long it takes to do it, and comparing it to things that are not actually comparable to what they are doing. This is how misinformation spreads. 1.6 million views. Did it hit the trending tab? It doesn't look like it hit the trending tab. But we're 1:28 in, and he has not said a single true thing to this point. Let's continue.
$20 per
I'll fix
story.
that link, by the way, in a second.
They did say that it's a sliding scale, so you can get paid more based on, like, I guess the size and the research that goes into the story. But a base rate of 20 per story is alarmingly low.
That's not what they said. Again, misinformation again. Base rate. It's the only rate. News regurgitation's $20. More in-depth, original, opinionated articles are $50. And then if you want to do a full research investigative journalism, it starts at $300 and scales up from there. He's already misreporting what the tweets themselves said. Why? Everyone likes to crap on the big dogs. They like to crap on the Kotakus and the IGNs, which is fine. Sometimes the criticism is absolutely deserved. In this case, it's not.
Oh, I can't believe they actually even posted that information in the initial tweet here. That feels like a detail that'd be on the fine print of a shitty contract that the devil would have you sign. By the way, you're only getting $20 for your work. You know, it honestly reads like something parents would tell their 6-year-old to get them to do chores like, hey, sport, come here. If you take the trash out, empty the dishwasher, clean the dishes, mow the lawn, clean the pool, I'll give you $1.
What a bad association. Mowing the lawn, taking the trash out, doing the dishes, emptying the dishwasher, that's probably, I don't know, 2 hours of work, depending on how big the lawn is you have to mow, and if you have a riding lawnmower or a push lawnmower. I just showed you it took me 3 minutes. Told you.
The kid gets excited like, oh my goodness, a whole $1. Yes, Pop, I'm on it right now. That's just wild to me that they're just proudly plastering that on the tweet. Again, I feel like that'd be something some scummy company would keep to themselves, like after you DM them with your overqualified portfolio, they just say, yeah, I'll give you $20 for this garbage, you suck. Now, they did shed a bit more light on this, saying that the $20 is for basic news aggregation, and they'll go up to $50 for a slightly more involved story, which is like finding us a fun community angle that's not sourced from another outlet or social media,
Original
and
content.
$300 and up for in-depth multi-source reporting. I feel like after they explained it further, it made it even worse. Because now you know exactly what they kind of expect for $20, which is actual butthole. This is pure dog shit here. So it seems like for $20, you can just take a random tweet, post it on IGN, call it an article, and collect $20 for it. Oh, here's a tweet with 4 likes from Twitter user X Atheist Shadow Lord, where he said Horizon Zero Dawn should have been Game of the Year. Publish. Like, it's crazy. And then when you...
That's irritating. Oh, that's irritating. That's not what IGN does. Hold on. That's not what IGN does. Yes, I just showed you taking a tweet and making it news. But that's because the tweet itself is news. It's not news what some random person on the internet thinks about a game. That's not news. This is news. This is news. IGN's reporting news. What the fuck, dude? Yes. You are right in that it's bare minimum, barely have to do anything, but you're still reporting news. It still has value. You're not grabbing some random person's opinion on the internet and posting an article about it. You're actually reporting news. A new trailer comes up. You're posting the fucking trailer. What the fuck, dude? God, what a gross mischaracterization of what news is versus posting opinionated bullshit, which, for honest, a lot of YouTubers do. Myself included. Hi, how you doing? I'm Nintendo Prime. Most of my opinions are trash. All right. And again, this is a very popular 10 plus million subscriber YouTuber. And I can already tell you, and now I've never, by the way, I've seen this guy before. I've never actually watched any of his videos. So he's probably a perfectly fine gentleman, and maybe he makes some really good content. But a lot of his content is like this, where he clearly is uninformed on the topic, uninformed on the subject, doesn't have experience in what he's talking about, and then goes on to make a lot of baseless assumptions about what he's talking about that sound good and sound great because people like hating on big media. So it sounds good. It sounds great. Like before he even got to the clarification, he spent 2.5 minutes trashing the $20 and then finally gets to the clarification. Oh, by the way, it's not really just $20. Here's the other stuff. We're 3 minutes and 13 seconds in, and he's basically misinformed, grossly understated what you have to do, and just basically told a flat out lie because it sounds good. And of course, 88,000 likes, only 257 dislikes. It's, what do they call this? Popular speak. It's popular to hate on IGN. The instant reactions to something IGN posted are negative. Let's hop on the negativity train, regurgitate, by the way, which is what he's doing, what all those negative comments are saying without any direct knowledge of what you're talking about, and looks intelligent and smart for making IGN look like a bunch of jackasses when I just showed you how quickly and easily I can make almost $10,000 a month doing what IGN wants to pay me $20 for. And what's $10? $120,000 a year before taxes? Sounds pretty good to me. It's frustrating watching it. But there's a lot of people that do this. They latch on to popular think speak, and this is the direction they go with it. They don't have experience. They don't know what they're talking about. So they go along with the popular thought processes of all the negative reactions, and then they look superior. They look right. It looks like their opinion that's based on incorrect information is superior to everything else. It's so dumb.
You look at the $50 price tier, it specifies don't source it from another outlet, but that's for $50, so it seems like they're totally fine if you copy and paste from another outlet, just not...
Oh my God! That's not what it is. It's $50 for an original article. Non-sourced content means original content. Oh my fucking God. I want to pull like a Donald Trump right now. Fake news. Fake news. What the actual F? It's not copy pasting someone else's news article. It's writing an original editorial piece for $50. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no experience. Holy crap. This is what I used to do for a living, guys. I have 20 years experience doing the exact things that IGN's hiring for. 20 years. And in 1 month, I can make more than I made in an entire year from doing it. IGN's paying just fine. Know what the hell you're talking about. He's not going to come on a podcast. I'm too small time. I bet you if I even added him or DM'd him or said anything, he wouldn't even respond. I'm too small. Gotta remember, he's a 10 million subscriber channel. You know what he's gonna think when he sees, if he even hears a whisper of this live stream? He's not even gonna look at it. He's not even gonna watch it. He's not gonna care to talk to me because I'm too small. And this is the problem. These massive YouTubers spreading all this misinformation who don't have the experience or the knowledge. And they're going to blatantly misrepresent everything that's happening because it looks good, it sounds good, it gets the views, and it gets the likes. And it's probably what they honestly believe because they don't know any better. And the only people that could do something about it would be someone like me who isn't going to have the millions of followers. Because all of these massive YouTubers, if you notice, none of them have experience in this field. Can you tell me a single massive multi-million subscriber YouTube channel that actually has game journalism experience? Jeff Grubb's Game Mess. Okay, well, Jeff Grubb's YouTube channel is smaller than mine. All right. Kind of funny games. Yeah, they don't even have 1 million. Easy Allies. Again, they don't even have 1 million. Misrepresentation, misinformation. Because there's nobody that these big YouTubers have to answer to. They don't have to defend these points to people that understand how this works. They just get to regurgitate it. They get to say it. They get to just say what the popular think speak is, get all their likes, get all their new subs. While people like me look like asshats for defending IGN, when I'm not even saying that IGN's a great place to work. I have no fucking clue. I know nobody at IGN. It's so stupid. Now, hold on. I do have a phone call quick and play some music for you guys. Sorry, that was my fiance. She was talking about the kids tomorrow. There's a pancake feed she wants me to take them to. All right. Oh, jeez. Now she's calling again. 1 second. All right. Anyways, that was her calling. All right. Let's go back and continue watching this because so far I'm 3 minutes and 22 seconds in, and he hasn't said one true thing yet.
For $50, which explains very much so how IGN has ended up with so many awful articles that really just feel lifted from other outlets, which isn't anything groundbreaking. We're not reinventing the condom here. I'm not blowing the lid wide open on a crazy conspiracy. It's well known that these big outlets borrow stories from one another because they're covering the news, right?
But it's not copy pasting. Yes, it's called news regurgitation. You're not copy pasting their story. Did you see me when I wrote about that story from MKHB that I did earlier in the stream? I barely read their actual article. I went straight and skimmed through it to find what the real news was. I didn't copy a single word from The Verge. It is not copy pasting to regurgitate news. You're just delivering the news. News delivery is about the... When did news become about anything other than the news? It's a rhetorical question. When you're reporting on news, when your job is to just deliver the news, when did it become about more than just delivering the news? The news articles are going to look the same on The Verge versus Kotaku versus IGN. Well, maybe not Kotaku so much, but Verge, IGN, GameSpot. The news stories are going to look the same because the news is the same. Let me tell you, everyone who copied that Metroid Dread story, you know what they copy pasted? The news from the tweet that contained all the update information. Oh my gosh. Every news story about the Metroid Dread update has the same information in it. Of course they do. If they had different information, then that means there's a news outlet refuting the news. Oh my God. Oh my God. They sound the same because they're delivering the same news. when you're reporting on just the facts, it sounds the same. It sounds the same. Because the facts don't change. Whether you read the facts on IGN, Kotaku, The Verge, GameSpot, Game Informer, wherever you read the actual news from, the news story is going to be the same because the news is the news. The news are facts. The facts don't change because of what outlet you read them on. So of course the news is going to sound the same because it's the same news story. It's not about copy pasting. My God, this guy.
They'll take articles from other places and just change things around a bit to tell the same story. But for IGN here with this freelance job post to just outright kind of hint that they're okay with something like that is pretty brave and pretty bold. They got a little wacky here today with this one, I'd say. And then you get to your actual almost reasonable pay for work, which is the $300 tier, which is actual reporting, it seems like they're looking for. Now, I don't know normal rates for game journalism, but $300 feels like it should have been around the base rate per story. You're writing for one of the biggest gaming outlets in the world, IGN.com, and they can't afford to pay you a reasonable rate per story? $20 is the best they can do? That's fucking crazy. They're actually flicking peanuts at you.
So, I want to look at something quick. This might not have what I want. Okay. Is this per month? Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what the... Okay, yeah. Okay. So, IGN gets about 100 million impressions a month. That's a lot. Okay. Now, I don't know how these impressions are spread out between news and guides and video content. I have no idea how this stuff is spread out on their website. But they get about 100 million views a month. The reason I bring this up is I used to be editor-in-chief and used to also manage ads and used to also see what the pay rate is on ads. Now, IGN gets more premium ads, so they have better pay rates. But let's just say, as an example, that they paid $50 per article. Or $300. He says $300 per news article, okay, as a base pay. And they do $50 a day, as I mentioned earlier, okay? That would be $15,000 per day that IGN would be paying to freelancers to post stories per day. Times that by 30 days. And you're at $450,000, or basically $500,000. He thinks freelancers that take 5, 10, 20 minutes to write a news story should be getting paid $300 per story, and IGN should pay into the tune of $500,000 per month. Just, times that by 12 months, it's pretty simple math. You get $5.4 million. I don't think IGN makes $300 per news article. It's probably closer to $100 per news article. Because you got to remember, not all news is created the same. Some stories are going to get more views than others. Okay? You could tell typically about the comments. So Eidos Montreal has no regrets about Guardians of the Galaxy sales, 57 comments. DC's Axel Scott, 33 comments. Academy bans Will Smith from the authors of the events for 10 years, 462. This story here probably made, I don't know, more than every other story combined for the day. This story here probably netted them, I don't know, a couple million views. Whereas Destiny 2, Where Is Zer this weekend, this probably got them a few thousand views. And I can tell you right now, the payout on a few thousand views ain't much. Brandon Sky, did you just get here? Hi, Brandon. Did you just get here? If you did, you missed where I factually proved I can make $10,000 a month on $20 per news article. I created an IGN news article in 3 minutes. Completely original. Did my own research. Pulled it off in 3 minutes. And I get paid $20 for that. $20 is not for an article. $20 is for a news regurgitation. About 15 minutes ago, running a cutscene heavily dungeon in Final Fantasy 14, saw the blow up and thought, this is really funny. I'm going to stick around for defending $20 an article. Then you missed the entire defense. Show you. Let's go to, what was it, tech that I looked at, guys? Right? I want to do a review. I forget which one it was that I clicked on. Oh yeah, this. Not the video. That's just a re-upload of the video. So DeLorean releases a teaser image of its new electric car. This article, which is based on this tweet, has what? Let's just say it's about one paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs here because they put only 2 sentences here, not even. So you got 2 paragraphs here, about 4 paragraphs worth of text with an inserted tweet and then a re-upload of a trailer. This article took less than 20 minutes to write. And Ryan Dinsdale, who I don't think Ryan Dinsdale, is he a full-timer? I think he might be a full-timer. Let me see. Is he a full-timer or is he a freelancer? I couldn't remember. He's a freelancer. He got paid $20 for maybe 20 minutes of work. It is grossly overstated how much work it takes to create a news regurgitation article. What is a news regurgitation article? Grabbing this and making a news post about it. It takes 20 minutes or less to make a news article like this. It's not investigative journalism. It's not original work. You are finding news on the internet and regurgitating it on IGN. 20 minutes or less. And the thing is, I put my money where my mouth was. And I wrote a story. I went to The Verge. I found a tech story. I wrote up an IGN article. And I did it in 3 minutes. Finding the story, writing the story, 3 minutes. Brian Eck, that is incorrect. That is incorrect. You are incorrect. It is not a $20 base rate. You are incorrect. $20 for basic news aggregation. Carlos Morales, completely disagree. But you know why I disagree, Carlos Morales? I have 20 years experience writing news articles. I was a gaming journalist for 2 decades. It ain't that hard. It ain't that hard, Chief. I know you have your industry experience, but I'm saying, how is it right for the biggest in the industry to charge nothing on a very much unclarified amount of work? It is clarified. Here's the problem, Brandon Sky. Here's the problem, Brandon Sky. You don't know what the tweet's talking about, do you? When you read that tweet, when you read this and the follow-up tweet, you have no idea what any of this means, right? No idea what any of this means. Brian Eck, they are not paying more than $20. Oh, let me show you the math. Let me show you the math. What does $20 an article get? Remember, guys? What did I prove? I could write an IGN news story in 5 minutes, but let's say it takes 20. Okay? So it takes 20. It takes 20 minutes. So that's $60 an hour because I did 3 news articles in an hour. And let's say I wrote 10 for the day. That's 600. Whoops. Sorry, let me get this right. Let's say I wrote, I got to do the math right here. 20 times 10. Sorry. So I made, God damn it. That's not what I meant to do. 20 times 10. It should be 200. All right. 200. And then I do this for 20 days, Monday through Friday. I just made $4,000 for 3.5 hours of work a day. I'm sorry. The pay rate is good. The pay rate is amazing. If I did this full time, I would make almost $10,000 a month at $20 per news article. If I dedicated 8 hours a day, at $20 per news article, I would make over $10,000 a month. How is that bad pay? I'm getting paid doctor money to sit at my computer and type up news articles for 8 hours. It's easy. I showed it live. It is the easiest. The $20 for a news piece is the easiest $20 you'll ever make in your life. I don't know if IGN will let you have that much, but they're missing the point, Brandon. I don't know that IGN will let me write that many articles. They might put a cap on how many articles per day I can write. You're missing the point. It's freelance work. It's not a full-time position. It's not something you're doing to support your family. It is freelance, on-the-side work you're doing to supplement your income. You work from home, you make your own hours, you work whenever the fuck you feel like it, and you can write as many news articles as they allow. I showed the one guy was writing 6 articles a day. So let's just go, we know for a fact, I proved one of their freelance writers doing 6 a day. So we know at least 6 a day are allowed. Okay? So if you do 6 a day, times your 20, you get to 120 times your 20 days, and you still get to take $2,400 home for an hour and a half of work per day. Imagine that you could just Uber for an hour and a half every day for 20 days and make $2,400. People are grossly misrepresenting what this is. This is stupidly easy, takes minutes to create news articles. This isn't, oh, it's $20 an hour. No, it's not. It's $20 per story, and you can get 3, maybe even 4 stories out in an hour. You potentially could get all 6 of these stories out in an hour and a half. But Carlos Morales, that's not what they're asking. They're asking for news regurgitation. If you want to go into the backstory and create all this other stuff, that's called investigative journalism, and they pay you a hell of a lot more for it, and it's going to take you a long time. At the moment, I have a supermarket deli work at $15.25 an hour, which is rather brain dead work. Barely more effort that gives barely more money. What? Tell me a supermarket you can work at for an hour and a half a day and make $120. I don't think that you're grasping this. I have proven they will let you write 6 stories a day. I proved it. Their current freelance writers can write 6 stories a day minimum. So if the current freelance writers are working are doing 6 stories a day, so we now have a basis for it at $20 per story. They're making $120 a day. I proved it takes 20 minutes or less to make a story, to find the story, write the story, post the story. It takes less than 20 minutes. So at 6 stories a day, $120, an hour and a half of work. You tell me you can find a deli job that's paying you $120 for 1.5 hours of work a day. But Brandon Sky, why would I call your rate a lie? You said $15.25 an hour. That means in the same time, you're making what, $23? An hour and a half of work at the deli at $15.25 an hour is what, $23, $24? You are making significantly more money for barely any time. It is grossly misrepresented what IGN is hiring. And it's grossly misrepresented because everyone reacting to it doesn't do it. They don't have the experience. They don't understand what they're talking about because they've never done it. It is stupidly easy, mind-numbingly easy, repetitive, tedious, easy money work. If IGN was paying more than $20 an article, they would go fucking broke. Like, this guy here was arguing that a regurgitated news article should be baseline $300. I'm telling you right now, they don't make on average $300 per news article put up. I'm telling you that right now. They do not make on average $300. They are not making $500,000 a month off of those individual news articles. Now, combine in the news articles. By the way, that would be making. That means there has to be a profit in there somewhere. So let's say they paid out $500,000 a month to just freelance news writers, making those 50 articles a day, those 50 news pieces a day. Okay. So where's IGN's profit margin off of that? Because every single penny that went into it goes back to the writer. How does IGN survive as a company? How do they pay their taxes? How do they pay the employees, the editors that are above you that have to approve of your work and look at your work before it goes live? They're full-time employees. They got to get paid. The senior editing staff has to be paid. The video content creators, the reviewers, etc., etc., etc. You're not the only people working at IGN, and the news coverage is just a minute fraction of the content that IGN produces. IGN on the whole, let's just look this up right now. How much is IGN worth? Just go with like a net worth. Let's see, what, $94 per share. Let's see here. Net worth and earnings. All right. Their net worth is what? $35.35 million. All right. That's their supposed net worth. Roughly. And they earn an estimated $8.84 million a year. Didn't I just show you guys that if they paid $300 per news regurgitation article, that would be what, $5.4 million per year? I showed it earlier that at $450,000 a month for their 50 articles at $300 per article, and then we're talking about news articles, news aggregation. We're not talking about original editorials, investigative journalism, none of that. Just the news regurgitation articles. They have about 50 a day. If you paid $300 per to the writer, it'd be $450,000 a month, $5.4 million per year paid out to freelance writers when they only make $8.84 million a year. That would be grossly overpaying for the work. The work isn't worth $300 for 20 minutes. It's not. It's just not. What IGN is hiring are news regurgitators at $20 a pop for less than 20 minutes of work. It's easy. It's simple, and they allow you to do at least 6 per day, as we can see with current freelancers at the website. And that might not even be the limit. That might just be what that freelancer is willing to do because they have their own jobs, right? They have a full-time job. Most people doing this freelance stuff at IGN, getting that extra $120 a day, have a full-time job elsewhere. They're taking an hour and a half of their free time, spending it writing for IGN, supplementing the income they already have, taking home an extra couple thousand a month in supplemental income for barely any work. It's not that bad of a gig. And if they would allow me to write 10 stories a day, fucking perfect. I can live off that. That's $4,000 a month. I already showed it's $4,000 a month, 10 stories a day. If I want to throw weekends in, I can push it closer to, $6,000 to $8,000 a month. And that's assuming that they let me work weekends. And again, we know we can do at least 6. If they let me do 10, I can live off of that. So it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. Okay. So Brian Eck, I can address that part. To be fair, nobody goes into journalism for the money. This is true. It doesn't even matter if you're going to CNN or anywhere else. You don't get into journalism for the money. It's just it doesn't exist, and there's no guarantee you'll ever become a big enough name to make the big bucks. So you don't go into journalism for the money. That is true. Gaming journalism makes much less than other writers in other fields. You are correct, and this is why. When I look at how IGN is structuring this pricing, if they let me make 10 of these news pieces a day and take home $4,000 per month, I think there's a potential I might be making more than a full-time writer at their website on a salary. I actually feel like I could be making more than them. IGN gets the benefit, though. Here's where IGN saves money. Here's where IGN might not mind if I'm making 10 articles. Or they wouldn't mind if I was making 20 articles. They might not mind. IGN might rather pay me $8,000 a month to write 20 articles a day, 20 news regurgitation articles a day, than pay a full-time staff. And here's why. Since I'm not a salaried employee, I'm a contract freelancer. They do not have to pay me health insurance. They do not have to pay me retirement. And they do not have to take out any insurance against me. So because of that, IGN saves on the back end cost of an employee, while the person doing the work makes all that bank. And it's up to them to get their own insurance, to do their own insurance, whatever. And they can work elsewhere because freelance work doesn't preclude you having a job and doing other things. Like I wouldn't have to quit YouTube to do there. I wouldn't have to quit my IT job to do this work. That's not what freelance work is. Freelance is always work on the side that if you happen to make enough money from, great. Someone mentioned earlier that they do make enough money doing Uber or whatever to live off it, and that's great. Good for you. I don't know how that cost works out. I don't know if you've considered car maintenance in there, the fact your car is going to be dead sooner and you're going to have to buy new cars more often. I don't know what considerations you've made to just do full-time Ubering, but hey, congrats. I'm glad that you can do that and make enough money doing that to do it for a living, and I hope you really enjoy it. And that's great. And that's kind of the same thing with this. You can do enough of this if they allow to do it for a living for very little work. So all of this is grossly being misrepresented because people don't understand what the work is. They keep thinking it's Jason Schreier level editorials for $20. For those who don't know who Jason Schreier is, he does investigative journalism. You're not doing Jason Schreier level journalism. You are the bottom tier of what anybody considers a journalist. You do report news. Ergo, you are a journalist. But you're not a research journalist. You are not an analytical journalist. Your job is to grab news and deliver it quick. Grab this piece of news, regurgitate it on your site. That is your job. It's super easy. It's super simple. Takes no time, and you can make a shitload of money doing it at $20. $20 per article, even to me, sounds like an overpay. But I'll take it. I'll fucking take that shit to the bank. LDK is part of Kotaku. Yeah, and again, this is how IGN's doing it. I don't know what they pay at other outlets, of course. We only know what they're paying freelancers here. We obviously don't have a frame of reference for what Kotaku or GameSpot or other places might pay for freelance work. We don't have a reference for it. So it's possible that other outlets pay more, like The Verge might pay a freelancer $40 per news piece to regurgitate news. So it's possible that, it's possible that other outlets might pay more. I have no idea what the going rate is compared to others. I just know that $20 isn't that bad. For the little bit of work you got to do, you can make a lot of money. Jason actually does real journal. Exactly. He's an investigative journalist. So like that's where, and that's where in this tweet, Kate Bailey points out that you can do that kind of journalism. If you want to do Jason Schreier investigative journalism, they will pay you $300 as a base, and then they'll go up depending on how much work, the time, the interest level, everything in that piece, which you can obviously talk to them before you begin the work, right? Like you're not going to want to commit to something and have it take you 3 weeks to come up with, to really put together the article, or take a couple of months to put together the article, and they come back to you and say, oh yeah, you only get $300. That is something that you will talk to them behind the scenes before you even start researching this article. Like maybe you do a base level research on a really interesting topic that you could tell goes deeper and deeper and deeper. I mentioned before, like this, like the speed streamer guy that's, hitting all the news stuff over the last 24 hours. You could just report on the news as it is, report, be done, regurgitate $20. But if you want to investigate that story, dive deeper into it, watch hundreds of hours worth of his live streams, dig through all his social media accounts, talk to people who have streamed with him in the past, because there's a bunch of people he has streamed with, a bunch of people he's played games with. Try to interview him if you can. All of that's going to take weeks, months, etc., to put together a really big investigative piece on this. And you could take multiple angles, whether it's on this particular YouTuber, whether it's about gaming culture on the whole with young gamers and getting into streaming, a whole bunch of angles you could take with it. They're not paying you $20 for that. They might pay you thousands for that. That is something that you would obviously have to talk to them behind the scenes and get approval for before you even put the work in. Because you're not going to go ahead and put that work in assuming you're only going to make $300. $300 would be like if it took you a couple days to put together something. We'll give you $300. But if this is like a really long form Jason Schreier investigative piece, hell yeah, they want it. They're going to pay you a lot more for it. We just don't know what that is. And that's why I didn't dive too deep into this. I didn't dive too deep into the investigative side of the paying because there's not enough information here. As someone with 20 years experience, there is not enough information here to tell you if this is a good deal or not. Because you'd need to know, you would need them to give you examples of what a $300 piece looks like and what a $2,000 piece looks like, and actually have them link to you IGN investigative journalism that represents all ends of the pay scale, so you know what you're getting into. But this right here doesn't give you that information. That's information you would get behind the scenes by asking questions. This just means, when they say for slightly more involved stories, which means finding a fun community angle that's not sourced from another outlet, social media, reacts, etc. What they're saying is, if you write an original opinion piece, you can get $50. And I can bang out a couple of those a day. I used to do those at Zelda Informer back in the day. They're not super hard, but they do take longer. I think it's not nearly as good a deal as this. I think the $20 for basic news aggregation, that's where you can make some big bank. This is a bit more time consuming. You can still make, $100 a day doing it, assuming they even let you put out 2 a day. They might only let you put out 1 a day. But yeah, that's what this is. This is just for an original opinion piece, which, again, it really doesn't take that long to put together. But it does take a lot longer than 20 minutes. This is one where you're going to spend a couple hours putting this together. And then you can argue, is $25 an hour worth it to write that? For some people, yes. For some people, $25 an hour sounds amazing. Fuck yeah, they'll do it. For others, it doesn't sound that great. I mean, it is more than minimum wage, but it doesn't sound that great. That's why this is where the big bucks are made. This is where you make the big bucks for very little work. So, anyways. Yeah, minimum wage, and I live in Wisconsin. Minimum wage is still $7.25. However, I don't know of any place that actually pays $7.25 right now. The lowest I have seen is $10. I don't know any place in my area in Wisconsin, anyways, that actually pays minimum wage. But minimum wage hasn't moved yet in Wisconsin. It's still $7.25 an hour. Now, to be fair, it's a lot cheaper to live in Wisconsin. A lot cheaper. We have this. You guys have seen a house tour before, right? You've seen the studio tour. Guess how much my rent is? We have a a little bit over a half acre of land. We got a full basement, full upstairs, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. We got, 3 giant living room spaces. Now, I will be, well, I'm going to give you what it actually costs to rent this place. Not necessarily what I pay. Negotiated quite the deal. We get a bit of a discount, which I'll explain, but what this place actually costs to rent if it was somebody else. I used to live on 5 acres of land in a 4-bedroom house for only $625. Okay, so this place, assuming that it was all fixed up into code, which is not, it's a fixer-upper, which is why we only pay $500 a month, because it's a fixer-upper. But if it was all fixed up, it'd be about $1,000 a month to live here. They ain't shit. They ain't shit. That's cheap as fuck. 3-bedroom house, full basement, fully finished, giant yard. Your 1 bedroom's $1,500 a month. Yeah. Like that to me sounds insane. I only pay $500 because it's a fixer-upper. So we do a lot of work around this place. You know, that these new floors installed, right? You know, we did a lot of the work for these floors back here. Well, you just see carpet, I guess. But we have these floors. You guys have seen them before. We did a lot of the work for those. You know. So like, you know, it's fixer-upper. We put in work. But then we only pay $500 a month. So it kind of all works out. But that's because I live in Wisconsin. Very cheap to live. Very cheap to live. So this is good money, man. This is very good money. Because you can do this anywhere in the world. This isn't like you have to move to California and go to IGN's offices. I can do it right from here. It's freelance work. You do it at home on your schedule and you have time. So, I think I'm doing a mortgage someday. We're probably going to end up owning this house. It sounds like there is. We're not so sure that we want to stay here forever, but the more we keep fixing up this house, the more we like it. Yulia hated this place. Then we got new floors. Well, she likes it a bit more. Once I redo the upstairs, I'm going to be ripping out all the cabinets in the kitchen, and I think we're going to tear down the wall that's between the kitchen and the living room and do a giant open concept up there. Once I'm all done with that, she's going to love the place even more. Once I talk to a contractor and see if I can kick our house back and extend it out by 6 feet in the backyard and make our room and our second bathroom bigger so we can put a jacuzzi tub in, she's going to want to stay even more. Once I get all the siding replaced on the house, she's going to want to stay even more. So far, it's been reshingled. We've done the flooring. We've redone the deck, although I think I'm going to end up tearing the deck down and rebuilding it in a different style. Like, there'll still be the main deck area, but I think I'm going to extend a balcony that goes out along the whole backside of the house to our master bedroom. And then when we extend out our room, which I want to extend it out 6 feet to the backyard and expand the house, I'm going to have a door from our master bedroom that goes out to our own little deck area that connects to the main deck. Like our own little balcony that, you know, we can walk on over to the main deck. So if I'm grilling out on the grill on the main deck, I can kind of just walk along the deck path over into my bedroom if I want. So and all of this is going to take time. Like this is years of work. Well, I mean, this is like the 10-year plan. And the thing is, they said if I do everything that I say I'm going to do, we're going to get this house for extremely cheap. Extremely cheap. In the open market, the house was like $180,000. They might sell it to us for $80,000. If we pay for all the fixing up, and they might sell it to us for $80,000, which is fuck yeah, $80,000 for this place. Sign me the fuck up. That's why we're not so sure if we're ever going to move, because we have such a good deal to get this. Now, this doesn't mean this will be our final home. We might fix her up, live here for 10 years, and then decide, hey, let's sell the place and go get someplace nicer. Because we could literally buy it for $80,000 and then flip it for $200,000 once it's all fixed up. But Depends on the house market. Fire Soul, how's it going, buddy? Yeah. Thanks so much, Fire Soul. Says, just came back from watching Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Great movie, better than the first one. Nice. Yeah, I was debating on seeing it this weekend. Whoops. Ooh. Almost broke my double shot glass. Almost broke it, but we're good. It didn't break. Better than the first one. Cool. Yeah, I was debating on seeing it tomorrow. I mean, I might wait. I might take my kids to it. Because they like the first one a lot. So maybe I'll wait and just do it with the kids. Because I don't want to have to pay to go to it twice, you know? Movie theaters are a bit expensive. So maybe I'll just wait. Take the kids to it next weekend. Plus, there'll be less crowds. Thanks for the $10 though. New York City apartments, you can use the toilet and shower at the same time and reach your bed. Yeah, dude, I've seen some of the New York City. There's a real estate guy I watch on YouTube every once in a while that does New York City real estate, and I just, my lord, that's why I can never live in a city. I need my space, man. I don't mind visiting cities and staying there for like a month, but I couldn't live in a city. I'm just not made for city life. Serious question. How's Wisconsin towards Mexicans? I would like to live in that area. Sounds amazing for the price, but racism is something I consider when I move. What part of Wisconsin are you considering moving to? See, I can only speak for my area. So like if you're looking to move towards Milwaukee, I have no idea. If you're going to live in more northern Wisconsin, say La Crosse, Eau Claire, somewhere in that area, which is, I guess, more middle than northern's like Bayfield. Like that's way the fuck north. So you're really going to live in like the Eau Claire, La Crosse area, Wisconsin Dells area, very friendly. No problem with racism here. No problem. We have Mexicans. We don't have a lot of the darker, you know, like the African Americans. We don't have a lot of those in this area, but we do have some, and we're pretty friendly towards everybody. Everyone's pretty friendly towards everybody. We have a lot of, like in Eau Claire, they have a lot of Asians. Is that a race, or is it like, do we split it up by country? I don't really know, but there's a lot of there's some diversity. Yeah, it's gonna be, you are going to see, especially in northern Wisconsin, you're gonna see mostly, you know, Caucasians, but we're very friendly. God, I've got a couple good friends, Angel and God, what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank on one of my good buddies' names? Kevin. Angel and Kevin. They're both Mexicans and from Milwaukee, and everything's fine here. Nobody really cares. It's cheap. Literally, it's such a friendly area. It really is. At least where I live, it's super friendly. I have no complaints. Don Lewis, by the way, did a $5 super chat I missed earlier. Thank you, Don Lewis, for the $5. Sorry I missed that earlier. It says, have you ever thought of putting up an episode discussing your personal peeves? It'd be a way to get it off your chest. It's not going to do well. Here's the thing. The moment you mention, like in this case, my personal pet peeve at the moment is the way that people that have no experience with what IGN is doing, how they explain it. And the thing is, you can't ever mention that you're defending IGN or defend. Notice I didn't say defending IGN in my title. You know how many dislikes I'd have right now? Heck, people that came into me talking about it without the full context of what I said, like Brandon Sky, no problem with you, buddy. You know we're all good. You know that I'm a pretty reasonable person. At least I try to be. You know, so if I have a take like that, you might think it's hilarious at first, and then after I explained it, you probably don't think it's so crazy to think $20 for news regurgitation ain't that bad. But like, people don't understand what it is. They listen to all these YouTube influencers that have never done this work. They listen to all these people comparing what they do to magazine outlets. They compare this pay to doing full-time salaried work. All of that's different, you know? Cheers. Am I going to finish what video about IGN? Speaking of IGN, are you going to finish that video? I don't know what video you're talking about. Then we have that speed thing today. What's it? I something speed? I forget what it's called. What's the name of that guy? I don't watch his content, so I don't even know. God, I really don't know. I really don't know the name of these YouTubers. I literally don't watch his content. I show speed. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. I show speed. And people are really like torn on the whole I show speed situation. You know, I did a video on it today, and it's my most disliked video of the year. Show you guys. Actually, give me a second here. There's a couple things I can't show you, but I'll show you that. Let me go to my back end here. Let's just go to here. Here, show you. So, like, when I say most disliked, it's not like it's crazy, but 88.7% like the dislike ratio. So we have 86 likes, and these are official numbers. This isn't an app. So, but 88.7, I mean, you look at this 97, 96, 96, 93, 96, 97, 89. And this was an April Fool's joke, and it's even worse than that. Like, you can see I'm regularly up in the mid 90s. Here's 83%. People didn't like my take on this because I didn't care. This was a whole thing about physical games, and so people didn't like that. So maybe it's not the worst of the year, but it's not good. And I think it's because people are really torn. People are really torn on this. There's basically two sides of the story. For those who don't know, I Show Speed is currently being quote-unquote canceled for something he said about 5 months ago on a live stream playing Valorant. Basically, they just lost a match on Valorant. This is the context, right? He's playing Valorant. The team of people he's playing with, on voice chat, lost their Valorant match. So afterwards, they're trash talking each other, right? They're just blaming each other. People trying to say that he sucks, which when you go back and watch the stream, he actually played really bad. So he did kind of suck in that match, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Everyone thinks their shit don't stink when you're playing competitive games. It's always somebody else's fault. So they're all blaming each other, right? And then one of the team members says like 2 words. Wasn't offensive, wasn't mean, but it turned out that person was a female. It was a female voice. At least it sounded like a female voice. I can't presume, but sounded like a female voice. And the moment that I Show Speed heard her voice, it's like a switch flipped. It's like something flipped in his brain, and he basically said, wait, you're a bitch. You can't talk to me. Get the fuck off the game and go to the kitchen and blah 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 blah. Like, girls can't talk to me. It was teenage. I Show Speed 17 years old. He apparently said this when he was 16. That's a way for people to diminish it. When people say, well, he's 16, he's 17 now. Okay. 35, what I said at 34, not a whole lot of big fucking difference. I'm sorry. 16 to 17, it's not like you suddenly grow the fuck up. I'm going to be honest here. You don't grow the fuck up in a year. And it wasn't even a year old. It was only 5 months. It's irrelevant that he was 16 then and he's 17 now. The age gap is irrelevant because it's only a fucking year. Okay? It's only a fucking year. So, the age gap's irrelevant. That excuse is dumb. The kid didn't grow up and get more mature in 5 months. It just didn't happen. In fact, back in February, he made a comment on Twitter saying how he needs to delete the Twitter app because he can't help but jerk off basically to every hot chick he sees on Twitter. So he needs to delete the Twitter app. He just said that back in February. And this is the guy we're supposed to believe has matured since he was 16. This is the guy who, on live stream 2 days ago, called half the chat bitches. Okay? He hasn't changed. He is who he is. He's an immature teenager who has a very immature audience following him that encourages this behavior, who gets a lot of views and a lot of subscribers and is one of the fastest growing streamers on the planet because he is the stereotypical gamer. He represents every stereotype of gamer that we try to disassociate with as we get older. He represents a type of gamer that all of us know, all of us have ran into at some point in our life, and most of us don't want to be associated with. And we all know what it's like to be teenagers. We all know what it's like to play Call of Duty lobbies and Madden lobbies and Valorant and Fortnite and all these different lobbies where there's all this cussing and swearing and circle jerking and insults, and okay, he's trash talking like a mofo, right? But the problem, of course, is he's not just someone in his mom's basement doing this. He's someone who is in the public eye doing it. And that changes things a little bit because it brings to the public eye the attention that nothing has changed 20 years into online lobbies. So online lobbies actually existed in the 90s, but let's just say when we start with consoles with Xbox, it's been about 20 years and nothing has changed. The sexist, racist, downright disgusting trash talking that was happening 20 years ago is still happening today. Nothing's changed. In fact, it's arguably more popular today than it was back then. So there's been a lot of reactions to this on both sides. There's, this is wrong. Kid should be raised better. Kid needs to be held responsible. He's breaking TOS on YouTube, should be banned on YouTube. How the hell he was streaming before I started streaming to 36,000 people. I don't know how the hell YouTube hasn't banned him yet because the things he has said on his live streams on YouTube breaks YouTube's terms of service. But YouTube hasn't touched him yet. Now, I do think YouTube's being careful in this situation. If I had an opportunity to talk to Susan Wojcicki about this, I bet you she's trying to tread carefully because this is a child. He is technically a minor. He is under the age of 18. He's barely 17. So he was 16 not too long ago. And she's trying to tread carefully because this is a situation with a minor. And because it's a situation with a minor, she doesn't want to come across as, canceling a child over acting like a child. So YouTube's in a very interesting spot with this. On one hand, he's breaking terms of service and should be banned because of it. On the other hand, it's a fucking kid. I don't really envy being in YouTube's position on this. So we have a lot of people on both sides of the equation thinking that he's a dick, he's an asshole, he's obviously got an issue with sexism, and it's a joke, might not be a joke, he's got issue with rage. I have no idea. Could all be an act, and that he should be banned. And then you have the other side that says, sounds like typical high school trash talk to me, what's the problem? If you watch my video today, you already know where I stand on this. I don't forget what online lobbies were like when I was a kid. I don't forget because I go in them still once in a while. And nothing's changed. Women are still degraded to a massive degree. Anytime there's a female gamer in any sort of online lobby, they're instantly attacked and insulted. And some of them take it in stride because they're used to it. Some of them don't. It's kind of become normalized to them, socially normalized in gaming to them. So like they've almost become a bit numb to it. That doesn't make it okay. They shouldn't have to be socially normalized to being talked down to, just because of their gender. Not because of their gameplay, but because of their gender. It's a very interesting thing. when you get into the social aspects of this and a lot of debate around, you know, oh, this is just normal high school behavior. But then should it be normal high school behavior? Shouldn't these kids be raised better to not be behaving this way? To better control themselves in some form? Like, a little bit of rage is understandable. You lose a match and you want to say, God fucking damn it. Like, oh, fuck, my teammates fucking suck or whatever. Like, that emotional response, I get. But then going into, like, bitch, you can't fucking talk to me because you're a fucking girl. Go back to the fucking kitchen. I get it. Common jokes, common tropes, common memes. The whole go back to the kitchen things existed for fucking decades. But it's just bothers me, man. Like, if I ever caught my kids talking like that while online gaming, they will not be online gaming anymore. It's pretty simple. Oh, you can't take away their system. Fine, I'll take away their internet. Can't do that. That's child abuse. Go ahead and try arguing to a court taking away a kid's internet is child abuse. Sorry. You treat people with respect or you don't play. But they're trash talking. Be the better person. Be the better person. No, if they shit talk me, I need to shit talk them back. No, let them sound like idiots. They'll realize it someday that they're acting like dumbasses. They'll be in their mid-30s wondering why the fuck they're still calling people, names and living off minimum wage, getting those government checks. By the way, that's obviously a gross mischaracterization. But that's my point. Like, it's dumb. It's not right. And I wish the culture would change. And unfortunately, the youth living up to these stereotypes is what gives gaming a bad reputation. I saw someone on our Discord server today. Say something that I found quite fascinating. Let me grab the Discord server. I'm not going to call out this specific person. But I wanted to read what he said. Let's see here. Something about gamer rage, okay? Basically, to paraphrase, getting angry over a game is pure passion. And it goes on and on. We had a little bit of a back and forth about how basically, you're most passionate when you're angry. And it makes you a better gamer. And then obviously, I'm too old, I moved on, I don't understand, or whatever the case might be. And I find this fascinating at multiple levels because I've been in competitive situations. Pretty much my whole life. I was a 5-sport athlete, super competitive. I used to do competitive gaming leagues back in the day. Madden in particular, I was in professional pro league circuit for that. I know what the competitive juices are like. I know how disappointing it is when you lost. I know that sinking feeling in your gut, the anger that can rise up when you fail, when you fall short, and especially when you fall short and you don't think it's your fault. I get it. I get that rising feeling. But never once, and this I can only speak for myself, has that feeling to me ever made me a better gamer. If nothing else, being angry typically led to me playing worse the next time around. Because while anger is a nice release of emotion, it doesn't necessarily go away because your last memory of playing that game is one of negativity and anger, of failure. So because of that, and because that's festering there, because you just lost, because every loss that compiles makes you angrier, I don't know how that makes you a better gamer. I don't know how that makes you more focused. I've always felt when you feel those competitive juices flowing, That's when you refocus on the next match. You don't worry about what just happened. You go, I'm never letting that happen again, and I'm going to go at it even harder next time. I'm going to fix what went wrong last time, fix what I can control, and do better the next time around. That was my thought process. I didn't ever once think, no, I better go attack them. Better go drop some mom jokes. I better go tell the woman to go back to the kitchen. I better go do this. I never once thought, I'm so angry that I need to attack the other people in the chat to make myself feel better because I'm blaming others instead of looking at my own gameplay and looking at what I did wrong. Now, this is just me. And I have decades of experience. And I'm not going to say I've never trash talked. But all of the trash talking I've ever done in my life was always to personal friends and always for fun, not out of anger. Like when Eric and I trash talk each other, we're not doing it out of anger. We're doing it because we're poking fun at each other and having fun. We're not doing it because we're angry. You know? So I've been around it. I've experienced it. I've seen it. I just don't know how it makes you better. Well, that's my experience, and that's the only one I can speak for. But I'm also older. Like, I have a big disconnect with the youth because I'm older. Oh, Grandpa, you don't know. Dude, I was competitive gaming before you were even fucking born. I know what online chat lobbies do. I know what children say. I'm not an idiot. I've been gaming my whole life. Competitive gaming, competitive sports. You see it in competitive sports. Come on now. Don't tell me how I don't know how it works. I know how it works. Doesn't make it right. Wasn't right when I was a kid, and it's still not right now. Just because it's been something being normalized doesn't mean that something is right to do, right? Trash talking as a teenager in video games has become normalized. Doesn't mean that it's okay to do it. If it was normalized for the entirety of the US, became legal for us to smoke meth and cut our life short by 30 years. If that became socially acceptable, does that make it right? Does that mean you should do it? It's legal now. It's socially acceptable. So why don't we all just smoke in the pipe and cutting our life short? Doesn't make it right. I know it's an extreme situation, but it doesn't make it right, you know? Anger helped Will Smith get banned from the Oscar for 10 years. Dude, these kids don't know Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. Carlos Morales, a lot of the lobbies today are still just as bad. Hasn't really gotten better, unfortunately. And my whole thought process is anger is a negative feeling. Now, look, there is a point where anger festers, okay? Emotions fester, right? Depression, sadness. Happiness, we usually just freely let out, no problem, because we're happy. It's a positive feeling. But when we have that anger and it festers and it festers and it festers, not letting the anger out can be a problem too. But there's healthier ways to let that anger out, right? Go for a run. Let that anger out on the road. Hit that road hard with your feet as you're running. Stomp around. Hit a punching bag. Let your anger out on that punching bag. Lift some weights. Okay, that's all workout stuff. Fine. You don't want to work out. Okay, cool. Go scream in a pillow. You know, punch yourself in the dick if you need to. Whatever works. Like, we don't need to hurt others to deal with our own anger, is what I'm trying to say. We all get angry. I get angry. I'm a parent of 3 kids. You think I don't get angry? You think I don't get frustrated? You don't think I reach a boiling point? So you think if I'm angry and I reach a boiling point, I should snap on my kids and start calling them a bunch of fucking bitches? And just verbally assaulting my children? Well, no, of course, everyone thinks that's wrong. It's wrong to do it to anybody. You shouldn't do it to anybody. Not just your own kids. Anybody. Shouldn't happen. There are healthier ways to get your anger out without hurting others. Rare exceptions. Certain sports. Anger can be an advantage in certain sports. Boxing, as an example. You might punch a little harder because you're a little bit angrier at that person. So there are certain ways that you can channel your anger into your job, into your work. But those are very specific use cases that don't apply to a vast majority of people. Now, William brings up a good point. Too many sensitive people these days. I've seen that reiterated a few times today, whether it was on my video, in my Discord server, on Twitter, on other social media platforms, TikTok, that people are too sensitive. No one should care about this. And to that I say, I'm not angry at iShowSpeed. I'm not mad at him. He's just a kid. He's a kid saying and doing stupid shit. I'm not going to be mad about it. He ain't my kid. It ain't on me to discipline and raise him. Okay? To be frank, it ain't my problem till it becomes my problem, and he's not in my life, so it's not really my problem. So I'm not really upset by it. But, like if he was influencing my kids or something, that, that could be a problem. But my kids don't even know who he is. They don't watch him. So, I think there is something to be said about oversensitivity in some situations. Now, like William brings up, I'm 36 and my daughter's 14 and we roast each other. I talk about her mom, my wife, and she talks about my mom. And that's fine. You know why that's fine, William Burgos? Your family, you know each other well. You know nothing you say is meant in the way that you say it. So if you roast your wife while talking to your daughter and she roasts your mom, you both have the understanding that you're not actually meaning any ill intent towards the mothers. There's nothing ill intended by what you're saying. You're just having fun with your kid. This is what I say about trash talking. And I mentioned it. Eric and I will trash talk each other. Yulia and I will trash talk each other. The difference is we are family. We are friends. We know nothing ill is meant by those remarks. There is no ill will in doing it. It's just fun. When you're doing it to people you don't know, it might not be fun to them. And that's where we have a problem. It's like I tell my kids, I don't care if you swear. You want to use the F word. You want to say fuck. You want to say shit. You want to say bitch. I don't care. Look, you're kids. You guys know all the words. You've heard all the words. I don't care. What I do care is knowing when it's appropriate to use them and when it's not. If your friend group uses them when you're talking to each other in normal speech, fine. Don't got a problem with it. But I'm never going to see you use those words derogatory towards people that it's not normal with. As an example, you call me or your mother a fucking bitch, there's going to be a problem. Because that's not how we talk to each other in this house. You go up to grandpa and, say something really nasty to him, that's not what your relationship is with him. There's going to be a problem. Understanding time and place and who's around you matters. And that's what I'm instilling in my kids. It's not don't do it. It's knowing when it's appropriate and who it's appropriate to do it with. If you don't have that kind of relationship with the person you're talking to, you don't target that language towards that person. It's not because that person's a snowflake. It's because you don't have that sort of relationship with them. What's up, the 8th Art? What's up, buddy? Sweating under this hat. Thanks so much for the super sticker, I suppose, with the dancing controller. I wonder if Nate's kids will ever watch my streams one day. Probably not. Probably not. No, I'm not the kind of content that my kids enjoy. I mean, maybe they enjoy my kind of content someday. And maybe like when they're older, in their mid-20s, maybe they'll tune in, you know, while they're doing homework or something. They'll listen to one of my podcasts or something. I don't know. That's possible. But I don't think as kids, they're not really into the kind of stuff I make. I know the kind of content they watch because I double check it at the end of every day. Every YouTube video, everything they've ever loaded, all gets recorded in my house. Every URL they visit and do, and every app they use, and everything they do in that app is recorded in my firewall. And I check it out every day to make sure I know what the fuck my kids are consuming. You know, like a tech-savvy parent should know what your kids are doing so you know what's influencing them. You know? So when they come up and they start using certain languages or acting certain ways, you might know why they're doing that rather than just like, what's wrong with you? Stop acting that way. You're being weird. Like, yeah, okay, stay up to date on what your kids are doing. You don't have to spy on them. You don't have to like dig into private messages and crap. Like my kids have Roblox and they message people on Roblox. I don't read their messages on Roblox. I don't really care what they're saying to their friends on Roblox. Don't really care. You know? They just use their friends' devices that don't have sensors. Good luck with that in my house. Good luck with that in my house. So my kids don't know it yet, but I have a cell phone blocker. Meaning the only way they'd be able to use that device in my house is to connect to the internet. So you gotta outthink the kids. And by the way, my kids haven't actually borrowed anyone else's devices yet, but I'm already thinking ahead. I know what kids do. I was a kid once. Because I don't need a cell signal when I'm at home. All my phone calls come through Wi-Fi, so. Let's see here. Gotta always outsmart your kids. And there'll be a day that my kids will outsmart me in some way. It'll happen. I outsmarted my dad for a while. When he banned me from the internet, he banned my IP. I found ways around it. So my kids will probably eventually find a way to outsmart me for a little bit. Your kid is banned by you from Roblox. Yeah, I know. I have. So here's the thing. I don't know what my children are saying per se. I have played Roblox with my kids and been in the groups. I have seen some of the stuff that's said. I clearly don't think it's appropriate. But I just make sure I have the conversations with my kids and kind of vaguely pay attention to how they're acting. Like they don't really change how they're acting when I'm on and not on, so I don't really worry about it. They basically only play with their friends from school, and they go to a Catholic school. That doesn't mean their friends don't swear and stuff. They absolutely do. But it ends up not being too big of a deal. It's always interesting to pay attention to the whole text stuff, because that's one thing that's harder to monitor is what's happening in text without logging onto their account and looking at their chat logs. And I'm not going to invade their privacy to that level. But yeah, they'd have to be in pretty damn big trouble for me to do that. They would have to have done something pretty severe for me to decide I'm going through all your chat logs. It's happening right now. I'm going to let them have a little bit of freedom with that until a problem happens. And then we'll see how I react. For now, I'm going to leave it alone. Yeah. I'm not worried about ass. My kids know all the curse words. They know fuck, shit, ass, cunt, bitch, slut. Which I guess is that considered I don't know if that's it's a naughty word. They know all the swear words. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. They hear them out in the world. They hear them at the mall. They hear it with their friends. They're not dumb. You can't shelter them from that stuff forever, You can only pretty much until they become school age. Once they get to about second grade and beyond, it's pretty much impossible to shelter your kids from that anymore. So I worry less about them seeing the words and worry more about them understanding time and place to use the words. And that time and place is never in our house. Oh yeah, I totally don't trust other people. No, I hear you, William. You do what you think you have to do for your child. I'm not going to tell you how to raise your kids, man. You do what you got to do. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own stuff. I know. You know what's great about that, William Burgos? Yeah. Asking if their parents are home, right? The whole pedophile thing. Kind of weird. I don't really leave my house. So the answer to that is yes. Yes, my dad is home because he's always home. I don't think my kids are ever here when I'm not here. Pretty sure every time they're home, I'm here. That's how much of a break I do not get from my children. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not gonna tell you to raise your kid. You do what you want, man. I never tell people how to raise their kids in situations. We all live in different situations, in different neighborhoods, in different areas, and deal with different things, and raised in different cultures. And I never will tell someone how to raise their kids. I can only tell people what I do and what works for me and what's working so far. And if it backfires one day, it backfires. I don't know. What I do know is, unlike all of their friends, my children will not have cell phones until they have a job. And it's hard. We have a almost 12-year-old daughter who is not happy she doesn't have a cell phone. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You need to prove that you can be responsible enough to have a cell phone. And that means being able to work, being able to pay for your cell phone bill. Why? Cell phones are a privilege, not a right. Cell phones are a privilege, not a right. You do not have a right to own a cell phone. Someone's got to pay that bill. Why should I have to pay money for something I don't even want you to have in the first place? Oh, but how are you going to communicate with your kid? My kid is always around an adult. Now, there might be situations where my kid is not around an adult. And what happens in those situations is we give them one of our cell phones, fully locked down. They can't do anything but call 911 or hit like a 2-button combination and call the other cell phone. That's the only options they have. They can't get into the phone. The phone is locked down. You have to go through a fingerprint sensor with Face ID and a 12-digit passcode to get on. So if they find a way past all that, power to them. But like if my daughter goes on a walk with a neighbor kid, we give her one of our phones, and that's the only thing they can do. They can call 911, or they can 2-button dial the other phone. But when they're at school, I ain't worried about it. Now, maybe in high school, we'll see what happens. Might worry about it a bit more in high school, but I'm not worried because my kids are going to be working at 15. My kids are going to be working at 15. Or they won't have a phone. So they'll be working at 15. Now, they can get a phone before then. They want to go mow lawns. They want to go shovel people's driveways in the winter. Hey, they want to find other ways to earn money before. They want to get a paper route because you can do that before 15. Be my guest. My kids are more than welcome to do other things. Want to try to run a lemonade stand all summer and hope you make enough? Sure. Go for it. My kids can come up with other ways to earn money if they want. That would constitute work and constitute a job and constitute responsibility. But they just want to have fun. That's all they really care about. An air tag on your daughter's keys. Yeah. Funny thing about air tags, she could just say she's going somewhere and hide the air tag there and then drive away. You gotta put air tags where they don't know the air tags are. Which what the thing about the air tags is it'll alert their phone. So like if they have an iPhone, I don't know. I think it alerts Android too. Like that's the air tags aren't as discreet as they used to be, you know? Which is for a reason, because people were using it to stalk people. But yeah, the cost of the cell phone's not the problem. It's the cost of the cell phone plan. They're going to sell them at school. If my kids grab my games and sell them at school to buy a phone, that phone will be smashed with a hammer. Because they attained the phone through stealing. Consequences for your action. You don't get to steal my games and buy a phone. You stole something. I wouldn't be adverse to calling the police on my kids if they did it, just to scare the shit out of them. I'm not kidding. If my kids steal my shit and sell it so they can buy something, there will be severe consequences. I ain't let them get away with that shit. I will not be adverse to calling the fucking cops on my own kids. Not at all. Not at all. They need to be scared shitless so they don't do it again. Now they might think I'm an asshole. Why would my own dad call the cops? I don't know. Why would my own child steal their parents' shit? I don't know. If you're going to do dumb shit, don't do dumb shit and I won't call the cops. Which, by the way, I obviously wouldn't be trying to get my kids arrested or anything. It would just be more of a, hey, I just want my kids to understand how serious this whole stealing thing is. I'm not actually pressing charges. And a lot of the cops will actually work with you on, at least in Wisconsin, they'll work with you on that kind of stuff. I don't know if they'll do that in other places, but in Wisconsin, they'll do a kind of a friendly, hey, we'll scare your kid to like let them know the seriousness of what they did and the trouble they can get in, you know. Just tell your children you have to buy the phone outright, not a plan. They still have to have a plan. What are you talking about? They could buy the phone outright. Who's paying for the phone connection? You can own the phone. You still got to pay the $20 to $45 a month to have the phone connected. Just buying a phone only works when you're on Wi-Fi. It's not going to work when they're on the bus or walking around or anything. It's only going to work on Wi-Fi, so it's not the same thing. ePrimify, you would be surprised how willing police officers are to work with you to teach your kids right from wrong. Because what the police officers don't want to do, they don't want to find out in a couple years that same child thought they could steal from a store, right? The police officers would rather curb crime early than have to legitimately arrest someone and put them in jail for it. You would be shocked how much cops are willing to work with families that reach out. Now, you wouldn't call 911 for it, no. You would just call the police station directly and ask them about doing it, and if they could send an officer out at some point, there's one in the area, etc., just to have a conversation with my kid about stealing. They do it all the time. I've seen it done. It's really not that big a deal. Yep. We had to do it once already. Our children had a problem with putting their seatbelt on. They refused to put their seatbelt on. Not going to do it. Okay. So without my kids knowing, I got out of the car to go to the bathroom and I called the police station. I came back out. They still weren't buckled in. I said, I'm not moving until you buckle in. Police car pulled in with his lights on, sounded the alarm. Walked up, told the children to get out of the vehicle. Then had a nice stern talking to them about how it's illegal and the bad things that can happen to you, and it scared the shit out of them. And to this day, they will be putting seatbelts on every time. Don't have to ask them twice anymore. They just do it. They get in the car, they immediately put their seatbelts on. Police get a reputation that's partially earned for doing some really dumb things. But it's not always that way. Not every encounter with police has to be negative. You'd be surprised how much police are willing to work with parents, their kids. Police stations and police chiefs and all that, they're all very willing to work with parents to help kids get, better behavior so they don't become criminals in the future. That's all about crime prevention when it gets to a certain age. Like if your kid steals something and the worst that happens is they get grounded, okay, that didn't seem like that bad of a punishment. Let me go steal a TV next time. Let me steal money out of a cash register. Let me steal from work. They, needs some sort of experience that when they think about doing something like that, they're going to be reminded of, oh shit, I don't want to be arrested. I don't want to go to prison. Yeah, police are more willing to work with parents than I think a lot of people realize. Yep, as Natsu said, they'd rather spend 15 minutes helping someone get in the straight and narrow. Yeah, and the thing is, it seems like such a minor thing. Oh, your kid stole something of yours and sold it for money and bought something with it. Like, it seems like such a minor thing, but that's the thing. You have to make a big deal out of that minor thing so it doesn't escalate to bigger and bigger things. Like, that's the thing. It's so easy to dismiss it as such a minor thing, but that's when you have to deal with it the best. You have to nip, my opinion as a parent anyways, you have to nip that stuff in the bud immediately. You don't ignore it until it's too big of a problem and there's no going back. If one of my kids steals my games and sells them, even if not to buy a phone, say they're buying weed, say they're buying, packs of smokes or alcohol, whatever the fuck they're buying, right? They buy something stupid. Maybe they buy their own video games. I don't know. Yeah, I'm calling the cops. Not to arrest my kids, but to slap them with a little bit of reality. So they understand. Now, I hope this day never comes, by the way. I hope I never have to do it. I mean, the hope is that you never actually have to do it. But I'm not afraid to do that. Not a problem. I know a lot of parents are afraid. But at least where I grew up and the situation I grew in, and I'm not worried about it. It's kind of cruel. Think what you want, man. It's never cruel to discipline your children in a non-harming way. There's no harm in showing your child the consequence of their action. They stole something, which is technically breaking the law, and I could press charges against them. if they did that, and they haven't done this, but if they do that, they technically broke the law. They need to know the consequence for that action, or how bad the consequence could be for that action. It won't be this time, but they need to know. It ain't cruel to show your kids reality. That's actually one of the parents' I think most important jobs, in my opinion, is to show your kids reality. Not let your kids just think they can do whatever they want. They need to be shown there's consequences for actions, and the consequences aren't just from you. It's not just you grounding them. There are certain actions they do that have repercussions beyond being grounded to your room. And they need to know that. I hope I never have to do it. I hope I never have to do it. But, you know, I'm prepared and okay if I do, you know. The eighth arc. But again, this is just my personal take. People don't have to agree with me, you know. Everyone's going to parent in their own ways and deal with things in their own ways, you know. There's no, I don't think there's any one way or one correct way. Like, I don't think there's a right and wrong way to raise a kid. I mean, I think there's a clear line in the sand that everyone can agree that this is wrong and that is wrong and this is wrong. Like, there's some wrong things that we just fundamentally know you shouldn't do to a child or shouldn't raise a child in a certain way. Hey, don't raise your child to hate people that aren't his skin color. Hey, don't raise your child to want to kill people, like intentionally, like encouraging. Like, there's like, don't, you know, freaking beat your kids, you know, into oblivion and beat the fucking shit out of them. Don't give your kids alcohol when they're fucking babies because you're tired of them crying. Like, there are things you don't do. There are obviously clear black and white lines with a lot of things that you don't do to a child. But when it comes to raising the child right, there's a lot of gray. And then that gray exists because every child is different. And I kid you not, you could have 10,000 children in front of you, and each one of them is different and will respond differently to different types of parenting. And that's why there's no one way to raise all children. It just doesn't exist. So, and that's what makes it tough raising 3 kids. That's why I said parenting gets harder the more kids you add to the equation. Each one of my kids needs different parenting styles, and some of those parenting styles conflict. And because of that, it creates a lot of issues. But then if I ignore and try to go with a single style for all kids and be fair, that causes even more issues. So, like, it's a fine balancing act as a parent, man. I'm telling you. It's... Whew. Anyways, you guys got any more questions? Or is that going to about wrap it up tonight? My kids are still very vulnerable to what happens to them. I hope so. If my kids thought it was okay to steal, I hope that they remember and are scared of a police officer showing up. I want them to be scared, because that means next time they think about stealing, they won't do it because they're scared the police are going to show up. There's nothing wrong with being afraid of stealing because you're going to get arrested. Yeah, you should be afraid of the consequence. You should be afraid of the consequences of doing the wrong thing. That should be a thing. I'm not worried about that scarring my kids. Oh no, my parents called the cops because I stole something. Yeah, you should be scared to steal. It's wrong. Don't do it. Should be something you're scared of, my opinion. Where did I get that Kirby amiibo? Oh, GameStop. I think for them to associate doing something wrong with being arrested and then possibly going through the anxiety wouldn't be good. Yes, it is. Here's why I disagree with you, ePrimify. That's the exact consequence of stealing. It's against the law. You broke the law. If you stole something, you broke the law. That is the consequence. That anxiety you feel, you don't want to feel it again, don't steal. That's the lesson. If you don't like the anxiety of possibly getting arrested for stealing, it's highly unlikely that kid will ever steal again. There's nothing wrong with that. Consequences for actions. It's one of the most important fundamentals, in my opinion, that a parent can teach a child is everything has a consequence. If you make bad choices, there are consequences for those bad choices. Some of those consequences are more severe than others. Stealing has a more severe consequence than, say, yelling at your parent and backtalking. You backtalk me is not going to be as severe of a consequence as if you stole something. That's a bigger deal, hence there's bigger consequences. There's real life consequences to that. That can lead to juvenile detention, that can lead to jail time, that can lead to prison depending on what you're doing. Felonies. There's real consequences. And if it creates anxiety because they have to deal with one of those consequences, good. Good. Because you know what happens when people feel anxiety? They don't want to do the thing that made them feel anxiety in the first place. It makes them less likely to repeat the action that makes them feel anxious. Because next time they're in a situation where the thought of stealing crosses their mind, anxiety is going to take over and they won't do it. I don't find that to be a problem. I don't find that to be an issue. But see, here's the thing. My kids know that stealing's wrong. My kids also know that swearing's wrong. Doesn't mean they're not going to do it. My kids know backtalking and not listening to their parents are wrong. They're still going to do it. Kids are going to be defiant. They're going to reach an age where they think they know better. I know, because I was at that age. Doesn't always work that way. Things don't always work the way that you think they do. It's a teaching moment. If your child steals, that is a teaching moment. And that teaching moment is showing them the consequences of that action. That's the teaching moment. That's exactly what I would be doing by calling the cops. I am teaching them what happens if they steal. And the officer will make it very clear. It's not just about your parents. This is what happens if you steal from anybody. Anything. So. And that's fine. You guys raise your kids the way you want. If my 6-year-old steals, I'm calling the cops. No problem with me. It's not like the cops are coming in guns a-blazing. In fact, officers are actually stupidly smiley and friendly to little kids. I mean, it's fine. That's just, the way most people are with little kids, I guess. Because we've had an officer talk to our youngest kid before, for the seatbelt thing. And he was super friendly and super smiley about it, but was serious about what could happen if you don't wear a seatbelt. So, there was a serious talk followed by smiles, and they ended up getting stickers and everything, and they've worn their seatbelts ever since. It's not people have this, again, a negative association with the police that isn't necessarily true in every aspect of life. Police officers, if you're calling them for help to help teach your kids right from wrong, they're very friendly about it. Not like they're about to bust your door down with a gun and scare the living shit out of your kids and tell them about how they're going to get, raped in the ass by picking up the soap bar in prison. That's not what they do. You need to pump the brakes a little. The officers aren't there to scare the living daylights out of your kid. Yeah, and as Natsu said, it ain't me. Like the seatbelt thing. My kids still to this day don't know that I called the cops. Likewise, if my kids stole something, they wouldn't know that I called the cops. I wouldn't tell them that I called. Why would I tell my kids, hey, I called the cops on you? No. Nope. You let the kid know that the police officer showed up because they found out through an undisclosed source that they were stealing. Or whoever the officer approaches. The officers are a lot more clever at coming up with ideas for it than parents are. They rarely say your mom and dad called me. That's not usually how the police officers approach it. So it's very rare the parents end up getting blamed in a lot of those situations. And this is, I've seen other parents do this, and it's very rare the kids ever associate the parents with any of it. They just end up associating the wrongdoing with it because the parents kind of left out of the equation. Like the parent is the one who called the police station, but the kid never knows that the parents were the ones that called. You know, they think they found out through, school surveillance tapes or, some other thing, Mm-hmm. If my mom had to change folding laundry correctly and did it with just one mistake, there was an immediate slap with a spatula across the face. Ooh, face slapping. That's pretty rough. Face slapping's a little. I don't know that I go to the face slapping. That's a bit much for me. Oh yeah, Nancy, you're right. We have like 4 police officers that live around me. It'll either be an off-duty cop or it'll be someone who's already in the area, right? Like they were already in the area. It's not even that big a deal to go out of their way. They'll show up in uniform with the police vehicle and everything, but yeah, it's usually never an inconvenience on the police officers. At least in our area. Maybe in like a bigger city, it could be, where like there's not enough police officers in general usually, and so I can see how like in a really big city, it might be a bit more difficult, but I'd still call the local police station and try anyways. They might tell you, sorry, we just don't have anyone to spare. That's totally fine. But at least in my area, not a big problem. But we don't have a lot of crime in my area to begin with. Like, we have our issues here and there. It's not like there hasn't been like a shooting ever around here. Like, yeah, there's been a shooting. There's been some drug busts and stuff, but relative to like what you deal with in a city, it's nothing. Do the cops get $20 a visit, or do they spend more time and get paid more like IGN? What a bad association. Obviously, cops are salaried employees. They don't get paid by the hour. Okay, so New York City cops will still do it. Yeah, I haven't lived in a city, so it was kind of like an assumption that, maybe, maybe they don't have anyone to spare, but I don't obviously know. I've never lived in a city. I've stayed in a city for a while, but I've never lived in a city, and I've obviously never raised kids in a city, so. Your dad's a New York City cop. Nice. Yeah. See, I don't have a problem with it, but again, everyone's gonna have their own tastes and their own ways they think parenting should be done. I always think that there's a fine balance with parenting, between disciplinary actions and it's easy to say outside looking in. Like prime, I don't know if you raise a kid. So I have no idea. If you know what it's like to raise a child, because your only experience might be your upbringing and bad experiences you might have had, or good experiences you might have had. I have no idea. But my experience as a parent, after doing it now for 10 years, is sometimes teaching a kid right from wrong just talking to them, trying to make them understand through talking, doesn't always work. Now, that's my experience with my kids. It doesn't always work. It just doesn't. Not to get too deep into it, our daughter has had some real issues. Not like she's a juvenile delinquent or anything, but she's got depression and some other stuff going on. That we are doing our best to handle and deal with, in every possible way. But her biological dad, because she's technically my stepdaughter, her biological dad, for the longest time said, I want to handle, most of the disciplining of her actions. And I'm just going to keep talking to her about it and keep trying to make her understand. And he did this for like a year and a half. And she was like 9. I just kept talking to her about it, as her behaviors just kept getting worse and worse and worse. She never got punished. She wasn't grounded. She didn't have things taken away. It was just always a conversation. We're having a conversation. She understands what I'm saying. We're having a conversation. Okay, so then how come if she's understanding what you're saying, the behaviors aren't changing? She clearly is either playing on your emotions and telling you what you want to hear, or she doesn't understand, or she just doesn't care because she's not really punished. There's no actual consequences for what she's doing other than a half-hour talk with her biological dad. Okay, and if that's not working, something else needs to be done. And what fundamentally changed my daughter's behaviors in some ways, still not perfect, but she's a lot better than she used to be, was once we started giving her real consequences for her actions. We got her report card, her second quarter report card this year. All of her grades dropped from A's to D's. All of her effort level in her classes dropped from A effort to no effort. Now, obviously, the initial reaction from my parent is shock. What the fuck happened? Okay. But beyond all of that, you don't obviously start by just reaming your kid and yelling at them. That's not going to. First thing is, why aren't you trying in school anymore? We have it right here on the report card. You are not trying in school. What happened? What changed? Okay, well, one of her teachers got subbed out, and she misses the old teacher. Okay, we understand that. We understand. You prefer the way the other teacher did it. You don't like the new teacher. Okay, that's fine. But it doesn't matter who your teacher is. You need to at least try. We don't care if you get A's. We would love for you to get A's. We only care that you try. Like, if all your grades were D's, but you had A effort level, even B effort level, we're good with that. We can accept it. If the best you can do is D's when you're trying, we're okay with that. We're not trying to push you like my parents were pushing me all the time to get straight A's. No. I just care that you try. If you try and it doesn't go well, that's okay. At least you tried, but you're not trying. And at some point, you can't blame a teacher for you choosing not to try. And so we gave her a couple weeks to decide to turn it around on her own, and she didn't. She kept bringing home from school. She wasn't doing work. We had multiple calls from the school and the teacher and the counselor. So eventually we said, okay, well, we tried to get you to understand that you have to do the work. So until you decide to turn around your grades, you're no longer going to have your tablet. You're no longer going to watch TV. You are going to be spending most of your day after school in your room. You can only come out to play with your brothers outside when we let you, not just when you feel like it. And yeah, you're going to be, changing the laundry every day when you get home from school, period. That's just what it's going to be. Otherwise, you come home, you do your homework, go to your room. You stay there until dinner time, then you stay there unless there's like a special situation we let you out. Like, say we let you go outside and we have like a trampoline in our backyard. Say we let you go outside and jump on the trampoline with your brother or something. Get some physical activity in. But otherwise, it's hey, you're not going to get to do these things. Oh, you talk to your friends on your tablet? Too bad. You're not going to have your tablet. Oh, you like to watch TV? Too bad. You don't get to watch TV. You don't get to enjoy the luxuries afforded to you because of the hard work your parents put in when you're not trying at the only thing you're supposed to try at. And she stayed grounded for the entire quarter because we had no way to know. This new teacher wouldn't communicate with us, so we had no way to know if and when her grades turned around. We got her report card. So she was grounded for like 2.5 months. We got her report card on April 1st. Her grades turned around. Her effort level turned around. She learned. She learned through consequences to work hard at something. And so she worked hard at it. Now she's not grounded. She did have a scare because we immediately took her off grounding. 2 days later, she brought back all of her assignments from school and admitted she did nothing in school. Here's what was cool about this. Okay, this is the fun one. So here she said the moment she was not grounded, she reverted right back to what she was doing before, right? The moment she wasn't grounded, the moment she got her tablet, her TV back, not having to stay in her room, she got her Amazon Alexa back to listen to music. Like, the moment she got all of her privileges back, she went back to not doing her schoolwork. So she brings home the work. I asked her why she didn't do it. And the teacher said, well, why didn't you do this assignment? Well, she told me to do that one. Okay. So you didn't get this one done on time. So then a new assignment started for a different class, but she told you to finish the other assignment. But here's my problem with that. You didn't even start the other assignment. So what were you doing during all this? I just sat there quietly and did nothing. Why? I just didn't want to do it. Okay. So why were you doing it before when you were grounded? Because I didn't want to be grounded. Well, thanks for being honest. Just so you know, you bring work home like this again, and that you did not even attempt to do in school, you will be grounded again. And here we are now at the end of the week, and she did all of her work. Consequences work. Talking isn't always enough. Sometimes you need real consequences. So now she's trying in school, and she's enjoying her life more because of it. Now she gets to go this weekend and see her baby cousin and have a bunch of fun and be spoiled and do a bunch of fun things out in Minnesota. And I'm happy that she gets to do that, because if she was grounded, she wouldn't have been able to. So just an example of where sometimes you have to punish your kids. The isolation's traumatizing. It's not like she was that isolated. I'm just going to be completely honest here. She wasn't that isolated. Our home is too chaotic for her to truly be isolated. It's not like she's stuck in there, door shut, doesn't hear from anybody for hours on end. That's not really how it works. Especially her little brother who won't leave her alone. It's not really how it works. She's not truly isolated. Between her homework that could take her a half hour to an hour, and then she's in her room for like 20 minutes, and then it's dinner time. And then after that, she usually will get to go play for a half hour outside with her brothers. Then she's got to go take a shower. And then she has to go back to her room. And at that point, anyways, it's reading time and getting ready for bed. Like, after school, there's not a lot of time anyways. So it's not like there was much of a punishment until the weekends. You know? The weekends were basically the biggest punishment. And she wouldn't be in her room all day, but she wouldn't get to do the fun things she wanted to do. So... that she didn't get to go to the skating parks or that the boys got to do, or, you know, water park, like the indoor water park that the boys got to go to a few weeks ago. She didn't get to go. So she knew. Even though the restrictions maybe weren't as strict as we wanted them to be originally, she still, you know, didn't get her stuff. So. Oh, yeah, I definitely don't enjoy punishing my kids. I wish I'd never had to punish them. I wish they would just like make the right choices on their own, whatever those choices might be. And sometimes I don't know what the right choices are, but with school, I know the right choices to at least try. Just try. I'm not gonna be one of those parents that expects my kids to get straight A's, even if I think they're capable of it. I just expect them to try, and as long as they try, I'm good. You know, I'm good. Even if they're not giving like 100% effort, if they're just giving like 75% effort, that's fine. As long as you're trying, I'm good with it. Day in, day out, no books, homework, sleep only, and I dragged everything. Oh, see, so when I was a kid, William, I got grounded to my room for months on end sometimes. But it was obviously no TV, no video games. But I was allowed to read books. They never took away books. They always told me, why would we take away books? Books build the mind and they're a positive. Why would we take away books? So they would control what books I had to read. But that's when I ended up reading the entire Harry Potter series, started reading the Sword of Truth series. I actually ended up almost enjoying, like, I remember the day I got ungrounded. They're like, oh, okay, you're ungrounded now. You can go outside and play. You can go do whatever. And I chose to stay in my room for like another couple hours and finish reading the book I was reading. So like, it kind of got me more into reading. So it was sort of like a positive coming out of a negative, where like you're grounded to your room, but because of it, I got to get really intimate with books and started really enjoying reading books. So that was kind of new, because I would have never did that if the other option was to play video games all the time. I would have rather did that, but yeah. And from that point forward, I pretty much always read books until probably my mid-20s is probably when I slowed down, because I just didn't have time, or I felt like I didn't have time. Maybe I was just too tired. Maybe my energy levels died out. No parent truly knows the right choice. I would say we don't know the right choice in some given situations, but I will say trying in school is pretty much always the right choice. At least try. I would say that's a pretty safe thing to say is the right choice. Outside of obviously morally right and wrong stuff. I mean, obviously but it's easier these days to take the device away. You would think so. You would think so. Doesn't always go that easy. Sometimes you got to take away everything. But it's okay. I want pets. I got pets. We got a dog. I wasn't disagreeing with you. That's okay. Ran off when I was 7 or 8, and my parents took away my pet rights. In other words, I wasn't allowed to hang out with my pets for a few days and stuck to the rules from then on. That's a good one. I think if she went to her other dad's, she's got a dog at her other dad's. We have a dog here, but she loves the dog at her other dad's way more. Like, I don't even know if she gives a shit about the dog here, to be honest. But she's addicted to that dog, right? I think that would be and I told her biological dad that would be a good punishment sometime, to like, hey, maybe if she's, doing this school thing or something, like maybe she just doesn't get to hang out with her dog that day. Like have Cookie stay with us for that day. You can bring Cookie to our house, leave Cookie here, take her over there, and she doesn't get to hang out with her dog Cookie. But he didn't really go for that. Well, I wish he would have, because I really think that, cause that's something she cares about so much, that really would be a good punishment in certain situations, but it's all right. For now, the whole grounding her for, a couple of months there where she was pretty restricted in what she could do, ended up working for her schoolwork. So, and the fact that she immediately went to not doing it, and then I reminded her that we will ground you again, and that stopped like that. The moment she was reminded, like, she didn't think at the time that she wasn't doing her schoolwork about the grounding. The moment she was reminded that she will be grounded again, oh shit, I'm doing my schoolwork now. Sorry. She literally apologized and got to work. So, like, clearly it's one of those, at the time she wasn't thinking about it, but now that she was reminded what the consequence was, oh yeah, nope, I'm doing my schoolwork. And then on every Friday they bring all their schoolwork home, and she got A's on all of her assignments this week. So, when it works, it works, And again, I don't expect her to get A's, but she did. I know she can get A's in all of her classes, but honor roll results. Isn't that funny? Yeah, you got to find them. Like, for my middle child, taking away the tablet's the biggest punishment. For Melody, probably the pet. We had to do it without the pet thing, but probably the pet. For our youngest, it's taken away outside time. He loves playing outside. You take that away. You don't like that. Yes, she does have something psychologically going on, E-Primify. It's called depression. The thing that makes me uncomfortable in these conversations are when people talk about my kids as if, or talk about my parenting of my kids as if they know everything that's going on because I shared little minute fractions of things happening in my house. As if I don't talk to my kids, as if I don't figure this stuff out, as if she's not in therapy, as if she's, she's actually on depression meds. There's a lot that I don't talk about with my kids because they're my kids and they don't need to be in the public eye with this stuff, Worst really broken was your dad, and I got in a physical fight. I was 19 at the time. And it was very, oof. I mean, if you're 19, ay. It makes me think of a moment with my dad. We didn't really get in a fight. My dad did fall down, though. But it wasn't really a fight. This happened like this last winter. Oh, it wasn't a fight, though. Like, not a physical fight. We had a disagreement. Not with the kids. It was something with my dog. We had a big disagreement with my dog around family time. And my dad just wouldn't let it go, and he showed up at my house and stormed in, and I'm like, oh my God, Dad, please get out of my house. So I kind of gave him like this light shove, like, please leave my house. Okay, Dad, we're not going to get along right now. We both need to calm down. Please get out of my house. It was a mistake for you to come over here. Unless you were going to come over here with a positive attitude, starting with an apology, maybe you would have got me to apologize and things would have been fine. But unfortunately, you came over here to try to prove yourself right. That's not how you handle these situations. I know because I have a fiance who sometimes likes to pick the bones a little. It's not how you handle it. I handled this poorly. You did. Please leave my house. This is just escalating, and I don't like it. And he wouldn't. So I kind of gave him just a little light shove like this, and he decided that, nope, I'm going to grab onto the side of your house and I'm going to like just push back with all of his might. Like I was significantly shoving him and I barely touched him. And when he did that, he lost his balance and fell over. And I'm like, my dad just had knee replacement surgery. So I don't know. Wasn't a smart move on his part. But he left after that. We talked later. We talked the next day when things were calmed down. But it was one of those, I walked away from his house during, it was on Thanksgiving, and I walked away for a reason. It's like, I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to fight. It's whatever. Enjoy Thanksgiving. I'll be back later to pick up the kids. I'm all right, Nintendo Reconnect. How are you? Oh, depression can lead to horrible things. Her mother has severe depression. I don't want to say that I always tell people I had depression. I don't know that depression ever leaves. But I'm definitely not anywhere near where I used to be. I'm not on medication anymore or in therapy. I was in therapy for 18 years. But I'm not. But like my mind's in a good place. Doesn't mean the dark thoughts don't come. Doesn't mean that I don't, still get the tinge of what I used to feel like on the daily. It's just, I think I've gotten about as good as you probably can get. I've gotten to the point where I can mostly control it, and that's awesome. It also proves that some people can get to that. I don't know if everybody can. My fiance hasn't gotten to that point, but some people can. So Thankfully, I did, because my God, if Yuli and I were both still talking about parenting being hard, now I'll have parenting be hard, but both parents are depressed. No, no one's talking to you. What the hell? Get out of here. Stupid notifications. Yeah, because it's like a mental thing. That's why I said Thark. I'm not sure that that I'm cured. I just can handle it a lot better. You know, I still have my therapist on my speed dial if I ever. I think I chatted with her once last year. Like I don't really. It's not really something that I think about or concern myself with, but the darkness, of it is you can feel it in there, you know. Obviously, especially when things get the most stressful in life, when parenting gets the most stressful, or if like yesterday there was a small little strain between me and Yulia, that we were both stressed out over completely different things, and so we had our first little. It wasn't even like a big fight or anything. We had our first little disagreement spat in like 5 years. It's so rare with us. And I could just feel the cloud rolling. Um, and that wasn't good. But I did stop it from taking over like it used to. It used to just take over. One, I took an edible. So there was that, but it wasn't just that I took the edible. It was more of a finding my center. I meditated a little. Then I played a game. Then I played with my kids. Something that I knew my kids would like, playing catch outside. Something that I knew my kids always enjoy doing, and doesn't cause fights or drama. And then slowly the cloud sort of started rolling back. Now maybe that was the weed kicking in. I don't know, but slowly the cloud started rescinding back, and I was fine. Honestly, after seeing Nintendo Prime, yeah, Thark, you've been here a long time. And Thark would know. He like just seeing my behavior at the channel. You can tell I've come a long way, even from like 2 years ago. Even yeah, about 2 years ago was right when I was at the edge of being really bad, and then I feel like it started turning around then. But I don't know. Maybe nothing's changed. I don't know. I'm not the one consuming my content. Weed has not been decriminalized across America. No. A majority of the states, it is legal in some form, either for medicinal or recreational. But it's not legal in every state. Technically, it's not legal in my state. I do buy it legally, but I don't buy it in my state. I drive a pretty long ways to buy it legally, but then I illegally bring it into the state. So you know what? I'm admitting this. If the police want to show up at my door and confiscate it and arrest me for it, go for it. I don't know, whatever. But it's not really even for me. It's for Yulia. Basically, her doctor asked if we had tried it, like, ever, and she she's tried pot before, but like she said no. I mean, like, eating it and doing a certain type, in this case sativa. They asked if she had tried it, and the answer was no. She had never tried that specific strain, and she had never done it as an edible. And the doctor said, well, it's not legal for me to medically prescribe it to you, but you can legally buy some in Michigan. So basically I make a trip once every 5 months. Well, it's going to be a bit more often now because Michigan's limited how much you can buy at once. It's probably going to be once every 3 months now. But basically just to buy her some gummies. And it seems to be working really well for her. Her mind has become a lot clearer The cloud is being controlled a lot better than any of the other medications. She's tried so many different medications and basically had next to no results. And this is the first time that it's actually rolling back the clouds. So, by the way, this isn't me saying that works for everybody. It certainly doesn't. But the doctor did suggest that, hey, go give it a try. So, weed's not illegal everywhere. If we lived in Michigan, wouldn't be a problem. Wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, and that's the thing about sativa. We didn't want to be tired, or we didn't want her to be more tired. Tired enough from depression. Don't need more tired. Didn't want to be lazy. Didn't want to necessarily be eating the whole house out. Like, yeah, she gets aware that she's hungry because she doesn't eat much, but she doesn't like suddenly, oh my God, let me pig out and have no, she just has a little bit to eat and she's good. Yeah, CBD is legal in Wisconsin. CBD basically doesn't do shit. Well, at least not for what Yulia needs it for. CBD doesn't do anything. Let my depression take over me. That's what I'd be known for, and I don't want that. Yeah, the big thing with Yulia was how it was affecting how she behaved around the children. That was the big thing that made her be like, let's take this serious, because you get the depression hit, you get the sadness, you get the extreme anger, and she just didn't want her kids to suffer for it, So it was one of those, we've been trying for a long time, and just turns out that apparently that was the answer this whole time. It wasn't legal in our state. We're hoping there's some legislation. There's some legislation that's probably going to get passed sometime in the next 5 years that I won't have to drive like 4 hours or worry about, as I'm driving back, am I going to get pulled over and arrested for carrying? But it's a risk I'm willing to take to make Yulia better mentally, to help her be better mentally. So, and it's so awesome because it's not like it's making her different. That's what's crazy about it. She's not actually acting any different than what she used to be like before the kid stress piled on top. So like she had kids, and so she already had some depression, and then she got postpartum depression, which made her original depression even worse, and then the postpartum never left. And that can happen. Postpartum depression is a thing on its own, let alone if you already have depression, it can be even worse. And it got worse and it didn't go away. But I knew before that happened, I knew her and we were dating. And basically she's just back to behaving and acting like she did before she got postpartum, which is awesome. It's basically like I got my fiance back from the cloud. I got her back from the darkness, and it's awesome to see that it's still there underneath it, right? Like underneath the cloud, she's still there. She's still there. When it's not dominating her life, the real Yulia is still underneath. So it's awesome. So. Yeah, Charles Trudell. That's what I said. That's why I said I'm not promoting this as, oh, you have depression? Go smoke some weed. No. She doesn't smoke it either. Smoking it is not as effective anyways, but changes the chemical makeup a little. But the thing is, that's not what I'm not, just like with any depression med, I wouldn't tell you, hey, this worked for her, so it'll work for you. Like, no, it doesn't work. It was one of those, hey, you know what? There's been trials. It's known that it can help, but only in some cases. And after all the stuff we had tried, that's the doctor's like, hey, just I give you a medical prescription if you could. Still not legal here to do that. So you can move, or you could just take the risk and just go buy it legally and call it a day. And we just said, screw it, we'll take the risk. So it all worked out. It all worked out in the end. So far. It's been about a year and a half now. It's all worked out. So keep it going. The best way of dealing with depression is talking about it. Sometimes. I mean, the first thing is admitting you have it, being willing to talk about it, but it doesn't necessarily make it better. Again, that's the problem with depression. Like just mental health in general. The problem with mental health, and this is just from my experiences. I can't talk about your guys' experience. I can talk about mine and my fiance's and my family. Because I know my mother has depression as well. She's in therapy and treatment. She's been in therapy and treatment for 30 years for it. The big thing about this stuff, and I think my sister has it too. She doesn't talk to me much about it, but I'm pretty sure she has it too. The big thing in dealing with this is every person who has it is different. What will work for them, the type of therapy will work, the type of medicine that potentially could help, because sometimes there'll be no medicine that can help. So the type of therapy, the type of medicine, talking about it. For some people, talking about it can make it worse. For some people, talking about it can make it better. Or how you talk about it, or the way you talk about it. Sometimes being able to learn to compartmentalize and like put it in a box and bury it works. Like it's all about learning how to manage it. And unfortunately, there's not like a one size fits all way to do it. That's just the unfortunate truth. So because of that, that's why there's no like cure. There's also no one size fits all solution, therapy or medication or a combination of both. There's no one size fits all. So like if you have depression and being willing to talk about it really helps you, that's great. Doesn't help everybody though. And I try that's what I say with like you. Okay, we tried a bunch of things, therapy, a whole bunch of stuff, and it just turned out that the best thing that actually helped her ended up being sativa edibles. For now, first time in 8 years that we found something that actually has helped. Not just medication wise, like just talking about it, like all these different therapies. Like we finally found something that actually makes a difference. So it's different for everyone, It's different for everyone. I think the most important thing, this is one thing I will say about depression. The most important thing, and this is the hardest thing to do when you have depression, especially if you've tried, if you've admitted you have depression, you've gone to therapy, you've tried multiple therapists, you've done a bunch of medications like Yuli had. She was getting sick and tired of the medications because they just weren't working. And it gets old where you get that hope, and then a couple of months pass and your hope's crushed. Didn't work. Didn't do anything, or you got the negative side effects but none of the benefits. Like the hardest thing is not giving up. I'm believing it can be better. And I remember for myself, 18 years of therapy, bunch of medications. I didn't think it was ever going to get better. I don't know. I don't know if it was the car accident I got in and smacking my head. I don't know if it was the heart attack. I don't know what it was. But eventually something clicked in the therapy session. And since then, I've been mostly in control. As in control as I think you possibly can be. And I think about that with Yulia, and I keep telling her, hey, look, I'm a little bit older than you. You haven't been attempting to deal with it. You might have had depression longer or have had worse depression than me longer. But you didn't attempt to deal with it until about 8 years ago. I've been attempting to deal with it for a lot longer than that. And I know how easy it is to give up. And I know the many times I tried to give up. And the people that wouldn't let me. I know how hard that is. So I kept telling her, I know you can get in your hope up on the next medication or the next therapy session or the next therapist or the next doctor or the next this or the next that or the next conversation we have or the next fun thing we do. Or like you always get all these hopes and then it all comes crumbling down and it's really hard to keep trying. She didn't think this was going to work. Even to this day, she sometimes will be like, I don't want to take it because I think it's changing me. And then she doesn't take it. And then the cloud just rolls over and starts controlling her. And she's like, oh shit, I don't want to feel like this. I don't know. Okay. Give me my gummy. Holy crap. Because she's got a fear. Because her sister got into drugs and started with weed and advanced to crack and other things. So like, and she's basically destroyed her life. And she's afraid of going down that route. And I keep having a reminder that the doctor suggested this and clarified with you many, many times that doing this isn't going to make you want to do crack, isn't going to make you want to do meth or anything. Like, it's not a gateway drug. It only got classified as that for a while because it was illegal. So the only way you got it was to go to people who were also dealing these other things that they make more money on. So of course they're going to try to get you hooked on it. They lace the weed, blah, 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 blah. So like, yeah, it was getting her to understand, you know, that she doesn't have to be afraid of it. And she still has that innate, like, I'm worried. It's been a year and a half. And nothing to worry about. But, you know, life experiences tell her, oh man, I gotta be afraid. I have an addictive personality. You know. But that's the hardest thing with depression. At least in my opinion. You know, from my experiences. The epilepsy and depression, stress, it concerns me getting into a relationship because how can I really support a family? That's just me. Well, for starters, you shouldn't be supporting the family on your own. It should be a joint venture. It starts with that. It starts with reminding that the point of being in a relationship and having a family is you're not alone. We're past the days that the man is the provider. No, it's equal parts. As an example, I make more money than Yulia. But if Yulia didn't have her job, we wouldn't be able to do things like going on the cruise. Like, there'd be things we wouldn't be able to do if she didn't work. So while I might take more of the financial burden, she takes burdens in other ways. She maintains the house more than I do, as an example, even though she also works full time. So, like, there's like a balance there, you know, because I end up working more than her because I also have the YouTube thing in addition. So, like, good night, Charles. How the heck do you even know if you have depression? You can be diagnosed. There's a scale for it. At least I think there's a scale for it. God, I got diagnosed so long ago. Pretty sure there's a scale for it. But yeah, they can test you for it through a psych eval. And it does a pretty good job determining if you actually have it or not. And there's like different types of depression, like clinical depression. God, I can't remember all the types now. Anyways, it's been a while since I was looking at that stuff, but because we had to look at it for our daughter and try to figure out stuff with that. But yeah, like that's how we found out our daughter had it, because she got we couldn't figure out what was going on with her behavior. So we got her, because we're not one of those parents that's going to think, oh, there's nothing wrong with our kid. Like, some parents are so afraid to admit their kids need help. There's nothing wrong with my kid. Like, Yulia's adoptive parents did not believe in modern medicine, did not believe that there was anything wrong with their kids. Yulia should have had help a lot sooner, but, you know, that's what happens. We're not afraid to admit that our kids might need help. So if we recognize things and behavior patterns, we're like, okay, let's take you in, let's get you evaluated, let's see what's going on. And it was like instant evaluation that our daughter had depression. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, she might have. No, she had it. It was kind of scary when we saw the results of the evaluation. We're like, holy shit, man, we're really glad we didn't ignore this. Your phone's gonna dead. All right, good night. Yeah, I'm gonna go too. It's almost midnight anyways. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the support and everything. You guys have been amazing as always. Hopefully you enjoyed the live stream. We had a lot of really in-depth conversations today, from IGN to that speed dude to depression. You never know where the night's gonna take you, right? All right, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend.